It was Saturday Night Fever in Grenada at the weekend, and well, I'm not saying that Jos Buttler, Phil Salt and Sam Ellard have been striding down the Port of Spain promenade Bee Gees style, but England definitely have that staying alive feeling tonight. Whatever happens though, the carnival will be in full swing at some point over the next 3 days. Windies 2-1 up with 2 to play. They're still favourites, and they've changed a winning team. More of that in a minute. England, though, desperate to still be flexing those broad smiles on the plane home come Friday. Welcome to TalkSport 2 and the TalkSport Cricket YouTube channel for live and exclusive coverage of the 4th T20 from the Brian Lara Stadium in Trinidad. I'm John Norman. Alongside me tonight, Michelle St Patrick Hewitt, Jared Kimber, as well as former England bowlers, I should say, Steve Harmison and Monty Panesar. We're going to head out to the middle very shortly to find out news of the teams, and we are hearing a whisper that we might see a debutant play for the West Indies, and there could also be a couple of changes as well for England. England, of course, who kept the series alive in thrilling fashion. They hit 24 from the final over of the match to win the match, and as Gary Morgan, our scorer, has told us, that is the most runs ever scored in a last over to win a game. Before we hear from one of the fine gentlemen that I mentioned previously, Monty, Michelle, Jared or Harmy, we can head out to the middle shortly, where Samuel Badri is with the two captains.
For the 4th T20I, cricket has come to Trinidad and Tobago, and today can be a decisive day. West Indies lead 2-1. The men that matter are here: Rovman Powell, captain of the West Indies; Jos Buttler, captain of England; and the match referee, Sir Richie Richardson, will oversee proceedings. Rovman, why don't you give it a flick?
Heads.
Heads is the call.
Tails it is.
And it's a tails.
You back first.
You want to take the mic from him, please, Rovman?
Yeah.
You've won it to us. Can you just confirm what are you going to do and why?
I think you know what we're going to do. What we're going to do, Badri? We're going to bowl first.
And the reasons for that?
It looks a pretty good surface. It's always nice to chase here. So hopefully our boys can restrict them and we get the runs.
A couple changes to your squad. Any changes to the playing 11 today?
Yeah, only one change. As Ari Joseph misses out, in comes Matthew Ford for his first T20 game for the West Indies.
He had a wonderful debut in the ODI. What are you hoping for from him today?
Yeah, I think he's brimming with confidence. A lot of success in the ODI. So hopefully he can bring that over to the T20s.
Whenever you suffer a defeat like you guys did the other day, there must be some mental scars from the bowlers. How do they overcome that, and what are you looking for from them today?
I think we still have good plans to the English batters. We know that at some point they're going to try to counteract what we have done in the past few games, and I think they're quality enough team, a quality enough players to do that. So we sat over the last few days and come up with some plans, some same plans, some new plans, and hopefully they will work.
Some good news for you overnight. All the very best today. We'll talk about that a little bit later.
Thanks, man.
Just if you can make your way here.
Yeah, man.
Having to bat first and set a total, what would you have done had you won?
Yeah, we'd have looked to bowl first as well. I think looks a decent surface, but we'd have liked to chase as well.
Important victory last game to keep the series alive. You haven't been able to restrict the West Indian in terms of six hitting, but you outgunned them by hitting more sixes yourself last time around. You've tried a few things with the ball. What can you do differently?
Yeah, I think execution's always the key. Obviously, they've got a lot of power, and some of the mishits go a long way as well. But being brave enough to execute the plans, staying true to them for as long as you can, each ball being an event in your over as well. So that's the kind of mindset we have.
Results aside, how important has this experience been for you in the lead up to the World Cup?
Yeah, vital. There's a great sort of information gathering exercise, but we also want to win games of cricket and play well. So obviously, it's a good mood in the camp following the last victory. We start fresh again today, but try and ride that confidence and momentum from the last game.
Changes to your playing 11?
We got 2 changes today. Wokes and Rayan Ahmed come back in, and Gus Atkinson and Tamal Mills miss out.
Yeah, get the wrist spinner inside. Thank you very much. All the best today.
Thank you.
Well, there you have it, folks. The news from out in the middle. West Indies, they've won the toss, and unsurprisingly, they've decided to bowl first.
Samuel Badri with the two captains there. Kimber's joined us. Jared is still smiling. Jos Buttler, he's got a smile and just a little flicker is remaining from what we saw on Saturday. It was a terrific game at the weekend, wasn't it?
It was, and at a certain point, you just have to win one, right? And things look a lot different. I don't think any of us are sitting here saying that West Indies is a favourite for the next World Cup. Even Mash would struggle to stretch that one out. In fact, Mash is probably the one who least thinks they're going to win the next World Cup. But they've been playing good cricket and they've been beating England, so any victory at the moment has to help, right?
We are hearing a rumour that possibly, and we'll wonder whether Sam Ellard, when he speaks to Jos Buttler, we find out, but possibly Jos Buttler is not going to be keeping wicket today. So if that's the case, then Phil Salt will do so.
Bowling?
Opening the bowl. I mean, England, I think, used, how many bowlers did they use in the second T20? Was it 6 or 7? They used a fair few. 6 in the second. I mean, are we any closer? There are 2 changes today. Let's talk about the West Indies first, actually. Michelle, you're with us. Matthew Ford, who really excited us in that third ODI, took the best figures, I think, on debut, beating Malcolm Marshall, I think, right saying. And
he's going to be better than Malcolm Marshall, you saying?
I said it. He would have taken a 4th wicket as well, but there was a drop catch, wasn't there? Carty put down a couple. Either way, a couple of changes in the West Indies, and a little bit happening during the week as well. Shimron Hetmyer out the squad. You thought that might be the case, and so it's proved.
Yes, as ever in West Indies cricket, there's always a lot going on. But first and foremost, Matthew Ford. Very excited to see him on a T20 debut. And I mean, you referenced the ODI debut they had, and that's not his strongest suit. And obviously that was such a fantastic debut, and the figures that you mentioned. But in T20 cricket, he's been globetrotting somewhat. Canada, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, the Caribbean Premier League as well. And Matthew Ford is somebody who likes to bowl up front in the power play, and you could argue that along with the death bowling, you could argue that that's the weakness that the West Indies have in terms of their bowling attack. So it'll be very interesting to see how he goes on this particular wicket. Obviously, the West Indies have chosen to bowl. They're a chasing team. They like to chase. As for Hetmyer, well, the story goes on with Shimron Hetmyer. The question isn't so much whether he deserved to be dropped. I think he did. The question is whether he will now come back to the team when a new squad is selected. West Indies' next assignment after this is to go to Australia. And it'll be very interesting to see if Shimron Hetmyer makes the plane for that flight, or for that journey, I should say.
What did his wife say on Instagram? Anything that we need to report on?
She's very disappointed.
Yeah, I'm sure she is.
Aaron McInnes on the TalkSport Cricket YouTube channel says big up Michelle, as does Dion 19. Do you know any of these two chaps?
That's my fan club, I think.
It's 2 bigger than Jared's. Monty, what were your overriding impressions from that the T20s that we've covered so far on TalkSport 2 and on the TalkSport Cricket YouTube channel so far?
England, obviously, they probably played the perfect game, especially in that opening partnership, over 100, and you can see the way they went after the spinners. They didn't go down the wicket. They stayed in their crease. If whenever they fired it in off the back foot, Jos Buttler hit it down the ground, and if it was full on the front foot, they hit it over the fielders. So that was a much better game option. They were much more decisive. They had a bit more clarity. They were organised about the game plan, and that's how they've got to go about it today as well. They can't let the spinners dictate. They've got to stay in the crease, and they're going to bowl it quick, and then just look out for their boundary options. Because let's be honest, England, without Jos Buttler, it's like a car without engine. He is one of the greatest, ODI white ball cricketers ever, and one of the best out there. I've travelled all around the world. People always talk about how good is Buttler, how well does he train. What tell us a bit about Jos Buttler, because he's up there. He's up there with the likes of MS Dhoni, Virat Kohli, and Viv Richards as one of the greatest white ball players ever.
Let's head back out to the middle. Sam Ellard has caught up with both captains.
Won the toss today. What are you going to do and why?
We're going to bowl first. It's always nice to chase here, so hopefully our bowlers can restrict the English batters.
Some changes in the cap presentation. Can you confirm your changes and the reasons for them?
Yeah, only one change as Harry Joseph is out. He gets a little bit of rest because he have a very tough tour of Australia coming up. Also Matthew Ford comes in for his first game for the West Indies at the T20 level.
What can we expect from Matt Ford? We saw him in the ODIs, he was brilliant. What's he going to bring to this T20 team?
Yeah, I think it's same of what you saw in the ODI. A lot of energy, a lot of confidence. Hopefully today he can replicate what he did in the ODIs.
What are you looking from your side today that maybe you didn't have in the last game?
I just think we just need to improve in all three areas: batting, bowling and fielding, and I think once we do that, majority of the work is cut out.
Rodman, thank you very much, and we'll speak to you after the game. Good luck, my friend.
Thanks, man.
Joss, thank you very much for your time. If you had won the toss today, what would you have done and why?
Yeah, we'd have looked at chase as well. I think a little bit of an unknown as to how the surface will play. But we get some runs on the board and hopefully defend them.
2 changes. What are those changes and the reasons for them?
We've got Wokes and Rayan Ahmed coming back in for Gus Atkinson and Tamal Mills. Just wanting to get Wokes back in, and we want to see the double wrist spin again.
And are you keeping today, or is Phil Salt going to keep? And if there's a change, what's the thinking behind that?
No, Phil Salt's going to keep today. Just want to try out fielding and being a bit closer to the bowler, see how I like that. I know I really like keeping as captain, but just thought I'd try it out to see how I feel running around in the field.
And final question, how impressive was that last performance, and how much confidence has that given this whole team going into another massive game today, Joss?
Yeah, it was impressive. It was a great win for us, a real confidence boosting win, but we start on naught again today, but try and ride that confidence and momentum and look forward to another good game of cricket.
Jarrod, but do we look a little bit more into this decision by Jos Buttler not to stand up behind the stumps today?
If you think about it, if they only have a handful of games before the World Cup, Phil Salt's probably going to open for them in the World Cup as things stand. Is it worth him actually just going out on the field, seeing if it helps his captaincy, see if it makes him look at the game differently, see if he feels more comfortable in those sorts of positions, it allows him to talk to his bowlers easier? He might just be trialling it, in which case that should be what this series is about. That said, Chris Wokes has come back in, so I can't really tell you. Is Turner out there? Are we sure that Turner's in the islands at the moment?
Well,
he's not on holiday on South Beach?
Were you not a little surprised? I mean, Monty, double wrist spin. I mean, Ahmed and Rashid. I found that a slightly strange choice of phrase, to be honest.
Well, I think, if this is the time to experiment, if they're going to have a look at it, I don't really think, double wrist spin really works for England. I think Adil Rashid is the premier bowler, and then along with him, a finger spinner. So it's another opportunity to see if Rayan Ahmed and Adil Rashid, do they really work together as a partnership? Because Adil Rashid, he's the one who's going to bowl the more important overs, maybe come into the power play and then come at the back end. Where does Rayan Ahmed, where does he fit in all of this, in the 20 overs? So, and when he has bowled, he has been quite expensive as well. So, in my opinion, I think a finger spinner and a wrist spinner is a better combination. But it's up to Rayan Ahmed. He's got to really, bowl well today to kind of change that mindset as well. To change that thing. Actually, maybe he could be that third spinner when the World Cup happens in 6 months' time.
Let's hear now from the England all-rounder Liam Livingstone. He was listed to bat at number 4 in Saturday's win in the third T20, and he's been telling TalkSport's Sam Ellard why these 5 T20s are perfect preparation ahead of the summer's T20 World Cup in the USA and, of course, in the Caribbean.
There's a World Cup in 6-8 months, whenever it is, and that's the biggest goal for us at the moment. And I guess the more sort of games we have, like the last 2, where we get in scenarios where you've got a chance of winning the game, is win or lose is probably the best thing for us. Having them experiences at the end of the game where it's close, that's exactly what you want going into World Cups, and you want to find a way to come out on the right side of them. So as long as we're taking loads of learnings from these games and learning what works, what doesn't work, what works for us as a group, we play cricket very different to the West Indies. So yeah, we've got to concentrate on us, work out our plans and the best way to go about cricket out here, and I think this last month will serve us in really good stead in 6 months' time.
And you mentioned there as well the importance of the victory. Is it giving everybody in the camp kind of a much needed boost? Did you feel as if maybe coming towards the end of a long winter, I mean, you're one of the few players that were involved in kind of the World Cup in this, did it feel like it's kind of given everyone that a new lease of life kind of going into the last couple of games, or did you kind of feel as if spirits have always kind of been quite high with some new faces joining for the West Indies part of this winter?
Yeah, I think spirits have always been pretty high, but no one likes losing. We've obviously lost more than we would have liked over the last few months, but I wouldn't say people have been really down on themselves. I feel like the environment within the group has been really good, but you want to win games of cricket for England, and I guess that was probably the nicest thing the other day. Was we won a game of cricket for England, and then had a nice drink together back at the hotel as a group, and it's just very different. So yeah, you could say it's given us a little boost, and I guess the biggest thing is it'll give us a lot of confidence, and that's the main thing. So hopefully going forward in the next 2 games that we can make use of that.
Liam Livingstone speaking with Sam Ellard there. Steve Harmison's with us alongside Jarrod Kimber still. Where are we then with Livingstone? I think there's still some pretty big question marks about him within 50 over cricket. 20 over cricket, does that make his inclusion more sense to you?
It does in 20 over cricket. I'm still to be convinced in 50 over cricket. You know, we talk about Liam and we keep talking about potential, and he's in his 30s now, so we've got to get away from that potential talk. The one thing he has been doing, and why I give him a little bit more leeway, he's been living in a lot of the shadows of some of the, you know, when you look at the 6 or 7 years of dominance that England have had in 50 over cricket. He's been living in the Morgan shadow, the Stoke shadow, Butler further down the order. So when he's had to do his job, it's after England have getting off to an unbelievable start, and he is a little bit hit or miss. I think in the 20 overs that role suits him a lot better. The disappointing thing for me on this trip is that 50 over element of it, where he had all them out the way, and it was up to him to show his class, show his dominance. And there was a couple of times where he got in where you're thinking he's got a lot of balls to bat, and he didn't really do that. So I think from a 20 over point of view, his game is a lot more suited. He's a lot better at it, and I think he's a lot clearer in the mind on how to play it. I think his bowling is a massive help in the whole package. I think he is a smart fielder, and there's no question he's a 6-hitter. England have got 6-hitters, but they haven't got them to the level or the distance that Liam can hit them. When you look at the West Indies and how they're producing their 20 overs, not many players in England's group are like the West Indians, who can hit the ball over the boundary. Liam can. I just think sometimes he gets caught between a rock and a hard place, and in how he goes about delivering his first 4 balls, which gets him close to the next phase of his innings, to get him to the next point. I just sometimes think he doesn't know how to sort of match them little parts of the start, the middle, and the end of it, and I think that's something I think has been letting him down.
We're getting lots of comments on the TalkSport Cricket YouTube page. Dean Duplessis, great coverage. Dean from Harare. Dean, lovely for you to get in contact, as well as John Traynor, who's saying Phil Salt didn't get an IPL contract, but Tom Kohler-Cadmore did. We'll talk a little bit about the IPL contracts. But Jarrod, from what Harmy said about Liam Livingstone, do you see his position in the side as pretty secure, or do you think his batting places too high, or where do you see him as a long-term part of this T20 setup?
We're not all a bit surprised that they didn't use him behind Harry Brook, like at times. Like, Harry Brook is a test batter and Liam Livingstone is not, right? So if you ask me as a T20 analyst, I'm thinking, well, you want the test batter to be slightly higher, and you want the guy who's a hitter to be slightly lower, and yet they seem to be trying to turn Harry Brook into that role, and Livingstone's trying to play the normal role. So it feels to me they're a little bit confused with him. I don't have a problem with the way he played in the one-dayers, because I kind of want someone who's going to average 25 and 30 at a strike rate of 130 at that number 6 position. You're not going to replicate what Josh Buttler did, so replicate the power without the consistency, and then you've got a good way of doing it. So I know not everyone's as keen on him, from that point of view as I am. But in T20 cricket, it's probably in their first 4 picked batters, I would have thought now. But you still have to use him in the right role, and he's more of a David Miller than he is an Aidan Markram, right?
For me, Liam shouldn't have a number to bat in the order. He should have a position to go in the game, and I think that's something I would, if I was in charge of this England cricket team, I'd be looking at Liam Livingstone and going, when there's six overs to go, that's when you walk out to bat. And if it means you're going at number 3, you're going at number 3. You know, you go in at number 7, you're going at number 7. But I think that would be the time where, bang, you're in, and off you go.
Yeah, the sort of Kyron Pollard, David Miller position would be perfect for him. And I don't see why you'd ever try and expand him from that when you have other players who can do it.
Any surprise that Chris Wokes has been brought back?
I'm pretty surprised. I'm not exactly sure what England are trying to do in this series, because they're not fully experimenting and they're not always fully trying to win. They're kind of, you know, there's that thing with the Golden State Warriors in the basketball where they kept their old players but they got a bunch of rookies and they were trying to make both things match. And that's what this kind of reminds me of. It's like you're trying to bring through a couple of younger players, but you're actually, you know, still throwing the ball back to Wokes at every stage. I think they might have been better off just either going all experiment or just going, this is our best 11. We're going to give them as much experience where the World Cup's going to be as possible. And they've sort of gone halfway between the two, haven't they?
Atkinson and Mills have been rested. Those were the two most expensive bowlers. So, you know, on Saturday. So is it just as simple as that? I mean, maybe. I don't know. They wanted a second spinner in, which makes sense. The whole dual leg spinner thing you were talking about with Monty before, I think that Rahman Ahmed is a googly bowler and Adil Rashid is a leg spinner. And so I don't mind the matchup of having both of them in there, although of course you prefer to have a finger spinner and a wrist spinner if you're looking for a perfect situation. But yeah, it could just be that they tried those other two bowlers and it didn't work particularly well the other night. I don't think Chris Wokes solves the bigger issue though, because you've got another new ball bowler on that side now. So where does he take the ball in this team? Yeah. And then you still don't have death bowling because he's, you know, not a strong death bowler.
Yeah, that's the thing for me. Chris Wokes has to bowl 3 at the top. He has to bowl 3 at the top.
So does Topley, right?
But so does Topley.
And where does Sam Curran fit in?
And then Sam Curran's got to fit in. So I would like to have seen Turner play. I really would. If you're going on this, you're picking everybody out. The ones that you've picked, for me, I would have want to look at Turner, John Turner. But, you know, when you look at it, Rahman Ahmed has to play. If you're picking your best team, he has to play because he's been arguably our best bowler alongside Adil Rashid. And the other one from that, when you look at it, like looking at the surface from obviously what we can see from a distance, it looks dry. It looks as though it's cracked, and the ends are rolling up, which means that there's a lot of broken areas where I think once people start running up and down on it, I think the spinners might come in the game, and England have got potentially 5 spinners on show as well.
Brilliant stuff. Well, Steve Harmison will be with us throughout the afternoon and evening, Jarrah Kimbrough as well. But for the next few overs, I'll be handing over commentary duty. It's Michelle St Patrick Hewitt alongside Steve Harmison for the first 5 overs of what could be, if it's anything like Saturday, an absolute classic T20. It's 2-1 Windies. It's the Windies who won the toss. The Windies are going to have a bat. And it's Michelle St Patrick Hewitt is going to take up commentary.
Indeed. And we have the openers coming out to face the first ball, Phil Salt and Josh Buttler. As expected, the opening pair for England. And as we've been talking about in the build-up, very much for both sides, it's about can they make early inroads, particularly the West Indies, who have struggled somewhat with trying to break this Salt and Buttler partnership. And if the West Indies are to close out this series today, you'd certainly feel that they've got to get one of them, if not both, in the power play. Steve Harmison, how you doing?
Yeah, very, very well, Mash. And you're right. The partnership has been good. You know, the first T20, you know, both Buttler and Salt got in and around 40. And then the last one was a magical partnership. Really, really set up what was an unbelievable chase. And I think hence why the West Indies have possibly gone for Ford at the top to try and go with that new ball to break the partnership with new ball bowler to bowl with the new ball to try and knock over what has been a success, I would say, in what has been not the greatest batting unit.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting as well to see how true this surface is in Tarouba today. Looking at, there's not been many international cricket matches on this track. Certainly domestic cricket in the Caribbean, but it's hard to tell from an international perspective what will be par here. And it will be Matthew Ford who will get us underway and open up proceedings to Phil Sohan. And the first shot is chipped over mid-wicket for 1 run, and that will immediately bring Buttler onto strike. I say mid-wicket, that was square off the wicket. for one run.
Yeah, it was a little bit of a loosener from Ford. It just looked as though it looked at Phil Salt. No great pace on it, in swing, and it seemed to sit in the wicket. Phil Salt took it at what probably looked, from Phil Salt's point of view, it took an absolute age to get to him, and then he's just helped it round the corner, get off me style, up in the air. So it did look as though the ball did sit in the surface. So, memo to Joss and to Phil, who do like to play out in front themselves. They might just have to wait a little bit longer, keep their shape, and when they're going for the big shot, try and play from close to their body for the first 4 or 5 balls until they assess the situation with the surface.
So Matthew Ford, for those who are unaware of him, those listening, he is very much a swing bowler, which is why he bowls in the power play, looks for early movement, and gets a bit of in-swing there, which Josh Buttler just has to respect and pat back down the wicket to Matthew Ford. But already, Harm, you can see what his effectiveness is with that early in-swing.
Yeah, he bowled really well in the ODIs when he made his debut, and the reason when he came in, he bowled it beautifully onto off stump. Not traditional. Normally your opening bowler is an away swing bowler.
And again, this one does a bit too much, and Josh Buttler is able to just work that into the onside for one.
And what you find of a lot of new ball bowlers, they try and take the ball away from the outside edge of the bat, especially early on, try and get the batter to lose their shape. But Ford goes and does it differently. He goes in, but I think the beauty about him is when he is trying to swing it in, the way he's got it, when he gets to see him bolt upright, if there's any movement in the surface, he can get the ball to stand up, Courtney Walsh style.
Again, more in swing again, and Salt cannot beat the fielder at mid-wicket. It was Rodman Powell, the West Indies captain, who has just picked up a very nice IPL deal earlier today. I think it was the Rajasthan Royals, off the top of my head, that he has gone to. So he's smiling in more ways than one.
There's been some interesting deals in the IPL. When you try and predict the IPL auction, and you just shake your head because you think, what on earth?
And this time Salt comes down the track. It was a matter of time before he decided to take Matthew Ford on, and he clears long off. And that's the first 6 of the innings. Very much a Phil Salt stroke. And that gets the England innings well and truly off to a start. England 8 without loss.
Yeah, good shot from Phil Salt there. Because of the slowness of the pitch and Phil Salt not trusting that the pace is on the ball from Ford. He's coming at the ball. He's going to make the movement and momentum through the line of the ball, but he is going to go at it. Came down the wicket, inside it, comfortably cover it out to knock it out over the top.
This one again a bit more in swing, and that's just beautifully timed by Phil Salt. Again, comes down the track, meets it, beats, I think it's Rodman Powell there at long off for a sweet 4. Might have been Carl Mayers in fact, and that's a very good over for England. 12 without loss at the end of the first over, the 6 and the 4 at the back end, making that certainly a victory for England if we break it down by mini overs. Yeah,
beautiful cricket shot that. Phil Salt just didn't come down with the same force as the ball before. He just give himself some room towards the leg side, opening up the offside, and trying to hit it too hard. Hit it along the floor, and it was a beautiful shot. Lovely cover drive. One that a man who has just got 109 or 56 balls less than 2 days ago, he looks in sublime touch, especially for somebody who didn't get picked up in the IPL.
We'll come back to this point I'm going to raise, Harmy, about too much in swing. Did he get too much there, Matthew Ford, or did he just err off the right line?
I think what he's done is obviously he's seen Phil Salt coming out of his crease, and I think the one before when he's come down and he's been more forceful, I think this time he's tried to follow Phil Salt by going that little bit fuller, using the angle and trying to cramp him up, and that's why Phil Salt hasn't tried to hit it too hard. He's just tried to hit it along the ground.
Akil Hussain is the new bowler. Josh Buttler is on strike, and very much straight on the money from Akil Hussain. He likes that kind of arm ball, wicket to wicket bowling. He's going to make Josh Buttler have to create the room here, and that first one is just defended down to mid off for no run. Hussain again, second ball of the over, this time a bit wider, and that's well fielded by captain Rodman Powell at extra cover, and again there'll be no run there. We're expecting the atmosphere in Tarouba to certainly liven up as the match continues. It's a long time since England have been in Trinidad. 2009, the last time they toured. And again, right on that middle stump line, and again there's no run there. Again fielded in the covers.
Tell you how long that was ago. I was playing on that trip, so It's been a long time since I've even thought about having my boots on, never mind anything else. God, that was a long time ago.
So no runs off the first 3 balls. 4th ball of the over. Josh Butler still on strike. This time Butler is able to play that down to long off. That's fielded by Shafane Rutherford. And Josh Butler is able to get off strike to bring Phil Salt back on strike, who is 11 off 4 balls.
And it's not the Port Spain ground either, is it? It's the new ground. So England won't have played at, is it the Brian Lara Cricket Academy?
No, definitely the first time. And it's only the 3rd international game at the Brian Lara Cricket Academy.
I'm not sure it would have been built in 2009, would it?
It was supposed to be built for the 2007 World Cup and wasn't built in time. I need to go and remind myself when it was actually finished. Akil Hussain into Phil Salt this time, and he drifts that onto the pads, and Phil Salt is able to easily turn that down to deep mid wicket for 1 run.
Great start from Akil Hussain. Good pace. He's got that skiddy trajectory, and he's cramping both England batters up from a line point of view. Not a great deal of turn so far, but he's bowling a very, very good pace and a very, very good length.
Final ball of the over. Only 2 off it. Can he finish it well? And he does. Josh Butler cannot work that past Robin Powell at extra cover. And there's only 2 off the over. Good comeback over there by the West Indies. England 14 without loss.
So Akil Hussain has been using the new ball, and they brought in a new ball specialist finally after using other guys who, can bowl with it, but are probably not ideal. And unfortunately, the new ball specialist has got hit, but Akil Hussain is back. I think the way that their team is set up, especially when Moti is playing, they probably only need one of the new ball bowlers to bowl well. They don't necessarily need both, but they do have options with Kyle Mayers, which they keep not using as well. So I would think if Ford is struggling, and you would bring on Mayers. Finally, we see Mayers bowl.
Yes, it's been a bone of contention as to... So Kyle Mayers is a swing bowler as well.
If you're going to bowl him, this is when you bowl him. And you bring in Ford, and Ford doesn't work. That's fine. Ford can bowl in the middle. He's got plenty of other chances. He can bowl at the death. But this is when you want to use Mayers, and they didn't do that. Holder kept getting hit, and they kept using him.
It was bizarre in that 3rd T20 they didn't turn to him at all when everyone was getting hit. Anyways, Kyle Mayers does take the ball for the first time in the series. Better line and length, or challenging the off stump more than Matthew Ford did, and he'll start with a dot ball there. Is that the line you wanted from Matthew Ford?
Yeah, that was the line. It was a good length as well. It was back onto, and I think it just bounced a little bit. I think it just bounced just a little bit. Kyle Mayers, he hits the pitch harder than probably Matthew Ford, and I think because if there's any inconsistency in the surface, Mayers will get a little bit more out of it, especially with the wicketkeeper standing up, meaning the batter has to stay in his crease.
Mayers in again. Again, you can see what Mayers' skill set is there. A bit of prodigious swing there, and I think that is Brandon King's.
Ouch.
Yes.
Is that the knee?
He's not got one hand on that. He's went with both hands, but got neither on. This is hit hard by Phil Salt. It's bounced off one of the...
right knee.
Just kept low a little bit, and it's hit Brandon King right on, flush on the knee.
You could just tell by the way it bounced off him, it hit bone.
Well, he hasn't gone off, and this one drifts onto the leg stump, and Phil Salt's able to get off strike. Plays it down to long on, or a shortish long on, I should say, for 1 run. And England move to 15 without loss.
Yeah, it's not a bad move, Kyle Mayers, on this surface. It's a slow surface. Don't think it's going to come onto the bat as well as what it had the other night in Grenada. So with the wicketkeeper standing up, as long as he doesn't give the batter width, then it's up to the batter to then move across the stumps, give himself some room.
Just Butler back on strike. Oh, and that's nearly a caught and bowled opportunity there. Butler potentially threw the shot too quickly. Maybe referencing what Harmy had said about the slow wicket, was he threw it too quickly, and Mayers had stuck a hand out. It beats him. Doesn't beat. Yeah, Mayers' potential caught and bowled. It went quickly, got a hand on it, but couldn't hold on to it. There's no run there. But again, it's almost like a sticky pitch. Mayers in again, and this time Butler goes aerial. There's no long off. He beats mid off, and that's 4 runs.
That's better by Josh Butler, but there's width there. There's width for the first time in that over. There was width, and I think that's what obviously Josh Butler and Phil Salt are waiting for. A little bit fuller, but because it was width, he could go aerial. He could go over the top. He could get his hands free. Where before, because Kyle Mayers was swinging it back in, and he was bowling a little bit of a shorter length, it was a little bit harder to get out to the ball because obviously the keeper's standing up, so he can't leave his crease.
Final ball of the third over. It's an atrocious delivery which has got way down leg, and Buttler, in fairness, doesn't put it away. Jason Holder was positioned at kind of like a short fine leg, and he doesn't stop it. He probably should have done, and Buttler is able to come back for 2.
Yeah, Jason Holder at 45, short fine leg, and it's one of them ones. If Jos Buttler had found Jason Holder in the air there, I think the way things have gone for Jos Buttler over the course of this winter with the World Cup and everything like that, to get out of a ball like that, I think I might have just walked off and gone home. It was an absolute shocker. But Jason Holder, he saved 2. It's a good start from England, because I don't think this is it doesn't seem to be what you would expect a 180-200 surface. So England can have to make here in the power play. I think this wicket is going to get slower and slower, and probably a lot harder to hit the big shot from. As Brandon King's gone off there, I think.
Yeah, that must be after the knock to the knee.
Yeah.
So he fielded out the rest of the over, and Roston Chase is out now.
So England are 21 without loss. Akil Hussain will bowl the 4th over. King hobbles off. Roston Chase comes on. I'm presuming they'll want to put some ice on that blow.
Beauty if you're a batter, isn't it? You're an opening batter, no bowling, fielder, walk off, 17 overs, external blow, I can open the baton. What a day Brandon King's just had.
So someone put the spar on.
Yeah.
I'll be in a moment.
He's going to be in with a Barmy Army for half an hour.
Akil Hussain to start the 4th over. Phil Salt on strike, and again Robin Powell dies there. Phil Salt does manage to run. No, he didn't take the run.
Yeah, good start. Very good start from the West Indies captain. Just went far enough where they thought about a single, but because Robin Powell's quick to get back to the ball, they couldn't scamper for a single.
Akil Hussain still bowling this wicket-to-wicket line, and probably the right thing to do thus far based on the conditions. This time, bit short. Phil Salt has to muscle that one to mid-wicket, deep mid-wicket for 1. Yeah, it's not coming through. It's not coming through for batters at all.
No, it's not. They're going to have to find a way. I think the England batters are going to have to find a way and hang in there for this little period. Use that. There's men inside the circle. Don't think this is going to get easier as the afternoon goes on.
So it's very much an offside field for Jos Buttler, and the offside field nearly comes off. Jos Buttler just manages to squeeze that one past the diving extra cover. I think it was Robin Powell again, just on the perimeter of the circle, and there is no deep fielder to cut that off, and it's 4 runs.
Well, 50 in the last T20. I just wonder if it's changing, if the luck's changing for Jos Buttler, because he played a shot similar to that in the I think the second ODI, second T20, and got out, and he got out that way during the ODIs as well. So a little bit of luck for Jos Buttler.
This time Buttler comes down the wicket, but again he cannot beat Robin. Robin Powell's very much seems like every ball's gone towards Robin Powell so far, and he fields that extra cover for no run. That previous shot just went inside out a bit. I don't think he timed it all together too well, and Powell kind of dived to his left, just got his fingertips to it, but not enough to prevent or take the catch, I should say. This time reverse from Jos Buttler, down on one knee, and was that a straight 6? We'll soon see from the umpires. It's a straight 6 from Jos Buttler, down at third man. Jos Buttler's decided to invent a shot in order to try and break the shackles here.
Yeah, that was a good shot from Buttler. Buttler is comfortable with the sweep and reverse sweep, and saying before, trying to find a way and working out a way how to score in this power play, and possibly square of the wicket and behind the wicket might be the easiest way to get power, trusting the ball.
Final ball of the 4th over, and this time Akil Hussain loses his line, drifts onto the pads, and that's meat and drink for Jos Buttler, and he just helps that on its way down to deep fine leg, and that'll be another 4. So he ends the over with 15 off it. Very expensive from Akil Hussain. Excellent one for England. They move to 36 without loss after 4.
Yeah, that's again Jos Buttler at his best, playing the sweep shot, seeing the line. This time the line was a lot more leg side. It was well down leg side. It was outside leg stump. Wasn't going to turn back. but the pace that Akil Hussein bowls at, he can the pace, and I think that's the way Josh Butler's going to go now to the spin bowlers especially. Can he hit, can he reverse swing, sweep the ball when it's out of length on the stumps, when it's up, to try and use the bounce that's there and help it on its way, or if it is anything going towards leg stump or down leg side with a bit of pace on it, try and use his conventional sweep.
So they'll bring back Matthew Ford for the 5th over of the power play. Just trying to work out if they've changed his end. I think no, same end. They bowled the first. Don't forget, you can listen to us and watch us on YouTube. Head over to the Talk Sport Cricket YouTube channel to follow this live commentary. Subscribe, like, share. So Matthew Ford in, and again this drifts onto leg stump line, but he has got protection on the mid-wicket boundary, and there's 1 run.
So just looking at Carl Mays' record, he's bowled the first over of the game 32 times, and he's bowled the third over of the game 19 times, and there's not another over within T20 cricket he's bowled more than 5 times. He literally is the most specialist ball bowler you will find. Remember Tom Cooper, the off-spinner who played for the Netherlands and South Australia? Yes. He used to bowl the first over and then just take his cap and go out in the field, and that was it. Joe Root did that for a while too. Joe Root did it for a while. Not as good a day as Brandon King would have. 1 over for 7 has Carl Mayers, 3 dot balls.
So Josh Butler on strike, 22 from 14. Again, Ford loses his line again. He drifts onto the legs, and again, it's just meat and drink for Josh Butler. He just helps it on its way down past fine edge or inside fine leg, and there is another 4 there. Is Matthew Ford trying to do too much here?
Yeah, it's a poor ball that. I think what he's done is he's gone too straight. He's trying to cramp Josh Butler for some room, because he's obviously trying to swing it in and it's not swung that much. That's gone off his wrist to pull from an action point of view.
This time a bit straighter from Matthew Ford, and Butler is able to help that to the mid-wicket fielder, deep mid-wicket fielder Shafane Rutherford, 4-1.
And that ball there was obviously an off-spinning slower ball, which he feels as though that must be his comfort ball. His comfort ball after the bad ball or seam up ball at this minute in time. The last couple have just come off his wrist a little bit, going down leg side and giving the England batters far too much.
Again, it's back down leg side, and again it's over. This time it's over Jason Holder at the 45. 1 bounce 4 for Phil Soul. It's not a good over this from Matthew Ford. 1-4, 1-4.
Yeah, again, he's just gone. It's exactly, we're just getting a close up of his wrist, and it's gone off his wrist. He's coming out of his left side. He's pulling away far too early, his left side, and because he's doing that, his wrist's coming on the inside of the ball, which is not making it swing, it's just making it loop. So there's no pace on it, no direction on it, and it's a free hit really for the leg side for the England batters.
He hasn't tried to adjust his line well. He tries to go straighter this time, but it's just in Phil Salt's arc, and Phil Salt just pulls that into deep mid-wicket, straight 6, and I think England it's either that Matthew Ford isn't bowling very well, or England have got used to the kind of pace of this particular pitch, and that's 15 off the over with 1 more, 16 off the over with 1 more to go.
No, I think it's the first part, Marsh. I think it's they're not bowling very well. I think this has been a very average over, and I think it's been an average power play from the West Indies. I think England have really benefited for some poor bowling, some poor lines, poor lengths, poor disciplines. 3 balls now that in this over that Ford's bowled leg side, and they've been very, very leg side, as in England didn't have to work hard for their runs at there, just a clip off the legs.
Final ball off the over, 16 already, and this down leg again. Phil Salt just comes towards the pitch of the ball and dispatches that over the head of long on. Couple rolls back, and it's another 6, so that over goes for a very expensive 22. Matthew Ford may have had a very good ODI debut, but this T20 international debut is not going to plan. He is none for 34 off his first 2 overs.
Yeah, and Phil Salt is capitalising on a bowler who is playing his first game. Phil Salt's capitalising on the form that he's in. And again, I don't think the West Indies England have had to work too hard for their 58 runs so far. First couple of overs, West Indies got the ball in the right area, asked some questions, and I think Josh Butler and Phil Salt, in a bit of form from the last game, have really continued that on. But the West Indies really have some soul searching to do to go next because I don't think this is as a flat surface as what this scoreline looks like.
I hand over to John Norman as Jason Holder comes in for his first over.
And a single's taken. Joss Butler, who is not keeping today, moves to 28 from 17. But Phil Salt, who holds the record for the fastest T20, 50 and 100 against the West Indies, is 31. And as Michelle and also Steve Harmson are saying, just picking up where he left off really on Saturday, there's certainly been a bright spark or a bright light in this side. And as he keeps the gloves today, an absolute shoo-in for the T20 World Cup, you'd feel, as Holder is back wide of the crease. This is pitched up, driven, no timing from Salt, who may feel like he misses out there. 4 balls left of the power play. As Monty Panesar will take his position. Did you go? Apologies if you've mentioned this already, Jared. But have you been to this ground when you were on CPL duty?
This was the first ground I was ever a professional working in cricket.
Oh,
well,
there you go.
Not in the media, but you know.
Holder again. This is on good length and helped around the corner. It's Andre Russell running from deep square leg, who will cut it off, but still another 2 runs to the score. 61 without loss, England, midway point of the 6th over.
Yeah, so it was St Lucia's first game when I was working for St Lucia. So we had about 4 days of training, so I spent a lot of time at this ground. It's also the ground where the ACSU officers asked me to take my laptop off the bench and go and sit in the team area and use it rather than sitting in the dugout, which was the same laptop with the same team.
Down the leg side, and this will probably have to be bowled again. Were you out in the West Indies in 2009, Monty? I was out. Well, it was 14 years ago.
Yep, played the test match in Jamaica, which we unfortunately got bowled out for 51, and then played in Queen's Park as well, which was a really close game. You know, we needed 1 more wicket to win the test match, and Fidel Edwards somehow managed to
Holder again, and Phil Salt just makes his own room. He lofts this up and over extra cover, but it plugs in the outfield. So he'll come back for a second. They will just take a look at this. But he moves to 35. That was the tour, of course, with the abandoned test at Antigua, in Antigua. Now, hang on. Now, you were picked for that one, weren't you? You and Harmy, so one of you was picked for the one that was called off, and then the other one played at the Rec. Is that right? Am I remembering that? Sorry, 1 second. Full driven back to Holder, who fields, no run.
Yeah, and then I got dropped for the Rec, and then Swanee played in that test match, and I think he took his first 5 in Test cricket.
Oh, there you go. And it was Fidel Edwards at the end of that test match, and it was Fidel Edwards again at the end at Trinidad, wasn't it? England went 1-0 down in Jamaica, 51 all out, as you say. Ian Bell's dropped. He was the sacrificial lamb, and the West Indies held on for the remainder of the test match. Now, we've seen a shot from Phil Salt before. He has driven this on the up, timing this time, easily clears the circle and runs away for another boundary. So what had been up until that point an inexpensive over for the West Indies isn't the most expensive one, 10 from it, but it means that England finished the power play in good form and in good position. 68 without loss on TalkSport 2. 6 overs in with Butler and Salt looking in the kind of form that we saw on Saturday, Monty.
Yeah, exactly, and I think they're continuing with that form, and they scored 100, I think 115 before they lost the first wicket. So this is a really positive start from England, and you know, we often say that great players have really good talent, but you need to have the attitude of Joss Butler to be one of the really top white ball cricketers, and you can see that in his body language, in his feet movement, and the way he's just playing around with the bowlers. I think this is a much better performance from England.
Moti is in to bowl his first over. Backward point is beaten, but the fielder at deep point. What did you just say there? What's the phrase? Great players have really good talent.
Well, look, no, not great players. Well, look, I think good players, to be a good player, you need talent, but to become a great player, you need the attitude of Joss Butler. You know, the way, you know, he is at the crease, everything about him.
Moti is in again and deceives Phil Salt. He essentially is playing on the back foot, but prodding at a delivery. Thought it was either going to go on, but it took the outside edge. That goes straight down Slip's throat, if there is one, but there isn't. So Phil Salt is back for 2.
I think that's the key to it, you know, because they're being so attacking.
Flatter this time from Moti, and Phil Salt latches onto it. Deep square leg runs round. That looked like it was going to go the distance, but again, no timing. And it's just another run to the score, 72 without loss.
Yeah, with the attacking nature, that it sort of allows you know, Powell just not to have that attacking slip fielder in place.
This is on full length, the Yorker length actually. The line is wrong though, it's down the leg side, and there's a big chase from Holder. He can't cut the ball off though, and that's easy pickings for England. Jos Buttler moves to 33. And this is a great start from England, and it's the first time in the series so far that actually Moti hasn't been allowed to settle. Round the wicket again is Moti to Buttler, beats him. What a delivery there, Monty.
Yeah, that's what he's got to do. He's got to bowl his best delivery, you know, to Jos Buttler, not look to restrict, but look to take wickets. So here he's bowled his stock delivery, trying to hit the top of our stump.
On the sweep, reverse sweep, Buttler. There's a man up inside the circle, and that races away for another 4. 12 from the over. England 80 without loss after just 7 overs. But go back to that delivery, because on 2 occasions in that over, Moti could have dismissed both Buttler and Phil Salt.
Yeah, he could have done, and then equally both, you know, Jos Buttler and Phil Salt had an answer to that. So they've got the attacking shots, which they're playing really well. That reverse sweep is, you know, is so handy for Jos Buttler. One of the reasons why he is one of the greatest, you know, white ball cricketers. Your stock delivery is going for 4 the next ball, and then Phil Salt, he's playing around with the field as well. So it makes it very difficult for a spinner to think, do I bowl my best delivery here to get the batsman out, but he may reverse sweep me. So then I bowl a bit more defensively into the pads, and then they use the pace to hit for 4 runs. This is absolutely brilliant batting, and it's really good to see, you know, England sort of playing to the potential that we know they can play. And I think Jos Buttler opening the batting is a really, you know, good decision in T20, but I think he should do that in ODI cricket as well, because, you know, he is that type of player. Once he is in, he can just take the game away.
Now this is interesting, Jared, because Andre Russell has been brought into the attack. 80 without loss after 7. Russell, of course, went for 24 from 5 balls at the end of that T20 on Saturday, and he's going to go for 4 first ball here. That is a textbook cover drive from Phil Salt. Pierces the gap, and pressure on the bowler already.
Yeah, probably overpitched just a little bit there. This is when he usually bowls his best, kind of overs 6 to 9, and everyone kind of bowls their best there, but he's a well above average bowler in that area. It's the rest of the game where he struggles. Think about this too, Matthew Forde hasn't really bowled much at the death in his career. They're not going to want to throw him in, especially if England have got wickets in hand. So Andre Russell, chances are he's going to have to bowl at the death again today.
Well, we shall see. Russell again, outside edge, 4 more to England, and Phil Salt reaches 50 from just 23 deliveries. England's turnaround continues in Trinidad. They look down and out in the third T20 in Grenada. They smashed their way to victory in that third game, but here today, despite losing the toss and being asked to bat first in bowler-friendly conditions, they've been on the front foot pretty much since the first ball. And now find themselves 88 without loss and 50 up for Phil Salt. Russell again short and clipped away. Salt will get off strike, 2 boundaries and a single. And the score moves along. England 89 without loss.
Absolutely brilliant. You know, this is a dominant display both from Phil Salt and Josh Butler, and if you're not 100% on it, they will absolutely destroy you, and that's what they're doing right now. The West Indies have to find a way. They desperately need a wicket, but under this form, I just can't see this happening.
This is on a length cutter, I think, from Russell. Either way, Butler will take a single. He moves to 38, 90 up. Gary Morgan, our scorer, has got in contact. Just to say, Russell has bowled the 8th over of a T20 innings 4 times, conceding 28 runs, with only 3 fours conceded previously. Well, he's gone for 2 already in this over. This is pitched up, and a slight misfill from Moti, but it won't make too much of a difference. 1 run added, 91 without loss. England, could they really come back? They look dead and buried. 223 the target in that 3rd T20, but a 100-run partnership for the opening wicket got them on the way. They did require something extraordinary from Harry Brook towards the back end of the innings. Last ball of the over, and Butler shapes to come forward, but in the end just pushes the ball out into the offside, and it's no run. So 8 overs in, 91 without loss. Russell's over's gone for 11, and is it only Hussain who's no, even Hussain's second over went for 15. I'm just having a look at the economy rates. I guess Moti will get another one here. Yeah, Matthew Ford going at 17s. Holder, Moti and Russell all over 10.
I mean, they've got the extra over of Mayers at least at the moment, so they've bought themselves 1 extra over. But yeah, Moti will try and bowl. They'll try and bowl him through the middle again. There was an outside edge in that last over. I know there's a couple of poor balls as well, but there's a couple of rippers. So just having a look at how much Mayers was swinging the ball back in when Brandon King got hit on the knee earlier. Right on the... Is it the medial on the inside? John, you used to be a knee surgeon.
Yeah, but I gave it up. Moti slip in place, but that's 1 over too late, and it's been slog swept by Phil Salt over the mid-wicket boundary. Returned by a young chap in a blue England top, whose Christmas holidays must have come a little bit earlier than my kids. Phil Salt continues to motor on. 58 now for him, and England 97 without loss.
Yes, it's brilliant batting. First ball going for 6, and that went off like a rocket. And it's again Modi, you know, they're putting so much pressure on him.
Steps away this time and comes perilously close to being bowled here. Cuts the ball to backward point, no run. And is it just me, Jared? It just seems like Phil Salt he appears confident, in control, and just wonder what that century's done for him. Flatter from Moti and thrashed to the deep point boundary for 1.
Do you know what? We've seen him struggle at times against Moti in this series. He doesn't like left. I think he goes out every 15 balls to a left arm finger spinner. He still hits it pretty well. And his only real weakness is right arm pace, other than left arm finger spin. And there is no right arm pace. And you saw him playing forward.
On the reverse is Butler. This is down the leg side, but he continues with the shot, and there's a chase from Shai Hope, who does wonderfully well, racing along to cut that off. And we'll have a little look at this, but either way, the 100 is up for England. The second match in a row, 100 partnership for the first wicket, and it's come in just 53 balls.
Just a beautiful moment there where Shai Hope stopped the ball, but had absolutely no idea where the ball was because it was under him. Just get back to Salt. I think he kind of matches up very well against his team, as long as Moti and Akil Hassan probably won't bother him as much as other left-arm finger spinners will.
Fuller, and there's a shot that we've seen from Josh Butler many times over the years. He's so quick to seize the length, and he just dumps that over long off for 6.
Yeah, this was again lovely batting, firing it into his legs. He made room, into out, and that was big long, and that was out of it. What a brilliant strike that is. And again, it just shows what a difference it makes. You know, once that clarity of thought is in there, Josh Butler and Phil Salt, you know, it's a completely different team. This is like a world-class team at the moment playing.
Yeah, this is the England that we've kind of got used to seeing for a number of years. And look, we'll see when the West Indies come out to bat, of course. There's still over 10 overs remaining as Buttler goes big again. And this is an even better shot. It's not into out. There's a little bit of a movement towards the leg side, but he just frees the arms, and that is a clean hit to bring up 50. 112 without loss, England, after just 9 overs. So what's the mentality of the bowler here?
Yeah, look, again, he's got no option really, because he's put him under pressure. He's bowled the same delivery, but this time what Jos Buttler has done, he's hit him straight through the line of the ball down the ground, and that's the skill of Jos Buttler there again, just showing how good he is, you know, as a white ball cricketer. And I don't often try to make big statements, but when it comes to Jos Buttler, I've got to say, you know, he is really, you know, the MS Dhoni of English cricket. He is unbelievable. He has all the shots, he has everything in place. He's given England an unbelievable platform. And you know, people say, what is it like bowling to Viv Richards? Have a go at bowling at Jos Buttler and you find out.
Well, Jason Holder's going to find out very shortly. Full delivery, and that's played to long on. Rovman Powell, the West Indies skipper's got a few problems for the first time in a while. Salt moves to 60. Buttler is at 52, 113 without loss. And England, 9 overs in, according to Cricinfo, have a win probability of 96%. Monty called it in the last over, of course. Driven by Buttler, again getting on the front foot. Hossain running around from long off, Fields, but not before Buttler comes back for a second. The race is on. I mean, both of these batters are going at a strike rate of 200. It's time to start looking at what England's highest score in T20 is. Gary. Holder turns. There was a thought that he might not play today, but he's in. Slower ball from Holder, it's short, and the shot is checked by Buttler, who will take a single. 116 without loss.
It's noticeable that he's bowling a lot more slower balls than everyone else. Again, I mean, I think one of Holder's main talents really is the ability to read a pitch very quickly, and he probably doesn't get as much credit for that as he should, but again, he's worked out what needs to be bowled here.
And he runs his fingers over the ball again here, and there's a shot at the stumps from Andre Russell at deep extra cover. Misses. Single taken. That really sat up, but again, Holder's just taking as much pace off the ball as he can. Salt would have been home.
Yeah, this is really good batting from both of them. They're keeping the momentum going, and you know, we often talk about, oh, you know, this England team need to have that reset button, but I just don't think we build our cricketers enough.
Wide of the crease again. Buttler's through with a shot. There's a shout of catch it from Powell, who catches it himself at long on, and Buttler's innings comes to an end. That's the first breakthrough for West Indies. Buttler's got to go for 55. England 117 for 1 inside the 10th.
Yeah, this was the right option, and you know, and there was in the air, but no mistake, a relatively easy catch from the captain of the West Indies. But Jos Buttler, he's done, you know, given England a really good platform. 3 sixes, 6 fours. He's done really well here, and it's obviously a drinks break that has come at just at the right time for England, and they'll be hoping to get to that magical total of 200. They have lost their first wicket for 117 within the 10th over. What a start Jos Buttler has given to his side.
A little bit of experience there, Jared, would you say, from Holder?
Yeah, I think it was, if you look at the ball before, me and Monty sort of shared a smile when Holder bowled a really slow delivery. And Phil Salt lost his shape a little bit, almost played a tennis shot, didn't he? Like, it was like a forehand, too much topspin for me, but, you know, down the line, you could just see that he was taking the air out of the ball a little bit and saying, you guys are going to have to come at me. And quite clearly they were trying to, right? They went at Moti, which has been probably the bowlers have given them the most problems in this series so far. They'd gone to Andre Russell, and Jason Holder just gave them something very different to look at, and I don't want to say bought a wicket, but made them force it is probably the best way of looking at it.
241 for 3, England's best total in a T20 international against New Zealand at Napier. That is a small ground. 2019. So, well, even with that Jos Buttler dismissal, I have to say, still on track for something approaching that. Their high score against the West Indies came in the last game, of course. 226 for 3. They had a ball left as well. There was one ball left of this 10th over. The two teams taking a drinks break. The ground itself, this I suppose must be seen as one of the fiercest and most difficult grounds to come and play T20 cricket in the CPL, when you consider just how great a record Trinbago have had over the years.
Well, they're a fantastic team, which is, I think, part of it. But it's also, I remember some of our players in that first game that I was at just complaining about how loud it was. It was not easy to get messages around. It's a really, that and Guyana are just absolute party venues. It's a shame, actually, that there isn't as much of a crowd here. I know we're hoping for some of them to come later. But when this place parties, it is incredible. It's a brilliant atmosphere for CPL games. If anyone ever wants to go out and see the West Indies in full voice, it's probably Guyana and Trinidad are the two places to go for those sorts of crowds. Barbados is a little bit more, traditional cricket crowd, and you're lucky if you get crowds at some of the other grounds at times. But it was just so loud. It also helped that Trinbago were smacking us everywhere that game.
Will Jacks to face his first delivery. He's forward, and he tries to push this ball down the ground. It takes... it goes into the leg side, essentially, through wideish at mid-on. There's a misfield as well, but that's pretty good running. The field was pushed back, and Jacks comes back for a second. So, halfway stage of the innings. England 119 for 1, and with Michelle St Patrick Hewitt returning to the action after a quick word from Jared, it'll be him and Steve Harmison to pick up commentary.
It'll be interesting to see what they do now with Matthew Ford. He's still got one left, I think. So it'll be interesting to see if they try him again in the middle to try and get him out the way. But they've got a lot of overs of Andre Russell still to go to fill that void. So it's not an ideal situation, Mash.
Yeah, Harmy and I were just chatting before coming back in about Harmy in particular.
Harmy was saying, "I'm glad I'm the bowling."
Well, actually, before I hand to Harmy to explain, it's Shafane Rutherford who will come on to bowl his medium pacers, which is interesting, which means they will not bowl Matthew Ford out. And actually, it does link to Harmy's point, because Harmy says they need a hit the deck bowler, and so Shafane Rutherford is not a hit the deck bowler. So this start of the 11th over, Shafane Rutherford in, and well, he hit the deck for a 6. So that one drifts right into the leg stump of Phil Salt, and he pulls that for 6 over deep mid wicket, and that was a somewhat of a loosener there.
Yeah, it was a loosener, but when you look at it in the second game, Alzari Joseph bowled beautifully. He went for a few runs, but he picked up a few wickets because he hit the area, the length that Rutherford hits, but unfortunately he's a little bit tall and he's a little bit quicker than Shafane Rutherford, and I think this surface is a hit the deck surface. It's not one just to float it up there. I think because what we've seen so far is the ones that have done that have gone the distance.
So around the wicket this time from Shafane Rutherford, and well, he gets more of the treatment. This tries to change the angle on Phil Salt, and Phil Salt just deposits that over long on for another 6.
I love the idea of a medium pace part-timer who used to bowl a bit when he was younger, going, do you know what? I'm going to come around the wicket and bounce Phil Salt here.
I'm going to bowl into the middle of the pitch from around the wicket to somebody who has got 69 off 31. In the last game got 109 off 56.
He also got an outside off stump, which probably wasn't the idea of coming around the wicket in the first place.
Absolutely.
I'm trying to understand the tactic. He's still round the wicket here, and well, Phil Salt, that's the best 6 of them all. That goes several rows back, way over deep mid wicket. I mean, to put this in perspective for the listeners and viewers, I reckon I could have dispatched one of these for 6 as well, because this has been filthy from Shafane Rutherford. This back-to-back, 3 6s in a row. And Phil Salt moves to 79 of 33.
Yeah, this is ordinary bowling, ordinary cricket from the West Indies. The wheels have come off for Rothman Powell. I think he's decision making because of what's happened in previous games, as opposed to sticking with what your frontline bowlers are. If Russell's your frontline bowler, give him some responsibility, like you have been doing. But this is ordinary. This is brilliant from Phil Salt.
Back over the wicket for Shane Rutherford, and I guess a better line somewhat. And Phil Salt just slaps that down to long off for 1 run.
Wasn't a 6.
Well, yes, I mean, it's a mini victory of sorts, but I'm questioning a lot of things about going to Shane Rutherford here. It's not Shane Rutherford's fault. I mean, of course, maybe he could bowl a better line and length, but he's banging it in short at, 70? If that, maybe 75, and I just don't see how that's supposed to trouble a guy who's on 80 of 34.
He's trying to hit the pitch, I think, but he's a skiddy bowler, so I don't see how it's going to work for him.
His time's a bit fuller, but Will Jacks is able to beat the man at point. I think it might be Roston Chase, the substitute fielder at point, smashes that pass point for 4, and this over has now gone for 23.
Yeah, it's a bit fuller, but it's a bit wider as well to a batter who's just walked to the crease, giving him some hands, allowing him to get his hands free. The thing I can't understand with his bowling change is, I'd understand if 2 of your bowlers were close to bowling 4 overs, but they're not. Nobody's bowled more than 2 overs in this game so far.
I was about to say how will Rutherford finish this over, but
his best ball.
He pulls out of the over, or pulls out of the ball, I should say, and he will have to load the last ball of the over again.
Yeah, Kyle Myers has bowled 1 over for 7. Holders bowled 2 overs for 17. Russell went round. Went the journey. Hussein's bowled 2 overs for 17, possibly trying to keep the spin back.
Final ball of the 11th over into the it's a slower ball bouncer of sorts. I say bouncer, but Will Jacks doesn't play it. Potentially, was Will Jacks thinking that was a wide?
Yeah, I think we looked at the umpire, didn't he? But you said slower ball as well. It was potentially just on pace and it didn't get through. It was a remarkable thing. But you're right. You look at those overs, Army, and it's at this stage, Dre Russ is not banked in to bowl his overs. Matthew Ford looks like he's not going to bowl another over. Andre Russell might have to come back at the death anyway. I don't even sense the pattern of what they're trying to do with this.
No, they're 10 overs to go, where you think Akeal Hussein's going to bowl another 2, Moti's got another 2, and then you'd bank Holder on bowling his 4 out. So there's 6. You've got to find 4 overs. Russell, yeah, he's one of your experienced players. Yes, you're trying to make Ford's number up, but take it a little bit deeper. I can understand you trying to change a bowling when you've just had a wicket. But if Jacks was on strike, yes, fine. But it wasn't Jacks, it was Phil Salt that was on strike. And he's dispatched your part-time bowler for 3 sixes off his first 3 balls.
England are 142 for 1 off 11 overs, and it's Akeal Hussein who does come back. And that's straight on to the middle stump line and length, and Phil Salt is able to work that for 1 down to long off. Yeah, no, the even weirder thing about turning to Rutherford is that Rothman Powell can bowl himself, which I mean, I don't know where you rank Powell in terms of his bowling, but I would say it's better than Shafane Rutherford's, and more importantly, Rothman's more used to bowling. Anyways, Akeal Hussein into Will Jacks, who goes for a reverse sweep, and that's ordinary. He beats, I think it's Gudakesh Moti. He beats there at fine leg, and that's another 4.
Yeah, I think with the spin bowlers, I think Josh Butler's went at the back end of the last time Moti and Akeal Hussein was bowling, and it was about the reverse sweep and sweep was probably the best shots against the spin bowlers. Reverse sweep to hit the ball, try and get it back on the up as you're sort of turning it round.
And he goes again for the reverse sweep. This time it's a top edge over the boundary for 6, over the point boundary, and this game is getting way out of hand for the West Indies, and England are in dreamland. They're 153 for 1.
Absolute dreamland. I sat here, I think third over, and said, I don't think this is as good a pitch as what Grenada was, from hitting through the line of the ball and how good the surface is. And I still don't think it's great if you hit the deck hard and you bowl with a tight line. I think the West Indies have contributed massively to why England have got 153 for 1 after 11.3.
Will Jacks go for the reverse again? No, this time he's just able to play that down to the point boundary fielder for 1.
We've got the fielder set now directly for the reverse sweep. So it'll be interesting to see if he takes him on again, because that last one was a top edge. It was top edge 25 yards back.
I think they're going with the bounce.
Yeah.
Brings Phil Salt back on strike, who's looking good for another century, back-to-back century. Am I trying to put the mockers on him? But he works that into mid-wicket for 1. And nope, works it for 2. It's excellent running, although they thought there was a run-out chance there, but it's just excellent running from Phil Salt and Will Jacks. And England moved to 1-5-6-1.
Do you know what? I think there was a run-out chance on there. I don't think Will Jacks going to the non-striker's end was expecting the throw. I think it could have been a better throw, and I think that would have put the England batter under pressure. But I think, again, it just goes back to the fact that not only has it been sloppy bowling, there's been a tad bit of sloppy fielding as well.
This partnership is 39 runs off 12 balls. West Indies desperately need the wicket. England are enjoying themselves. Last ball of the 12th over. And Phil Salt again plays that into the onside. They'll come back for 2 again. And yeah, Harmy, I don't know how you dissect this West Indies performance over the last... I don't want to say the whole innings, more so the last few overs in particular. It just looks, to use that kind of phrase, the wheels seem to have come off somewhat.
Yeah, I think the point that Jared made just a second ago is, I mean, it's great cricket from England. You know, Jared made the point that England looking to reverse sweep, trying to hit the spin behind square, trying to use the bounce and putting, you know, revolutions on it, going that way. And because of that, the West Indies have gone and set their field for the reverse sweep. But what England have done is have seen that, they've bunted the ball into a gap on the leg side, which you can't have 12, 13 fielders as a captain, so you've got to cross and look after your areas where you think your bowler's going to bowl. And England have dropped it and ran 2 a couple of times, and for me that's smart cricket, smart batting, and playing the situation as well. What I would say about the West Indies fielders, there could have been 5 or 7 yards off the boundary.
So it's Andre Russell who will come back into the attack after that Shafane Rutherford experiment, and Will Jacks is comfortable with playing that into mid-wicket for 1.
The highest score in the T20 International, and I'm not saying this for any reason, Harmy, is 314. That was Nepal against Mongolia. Mongolian bowling's famously weak. But of test playing nations, their highest score is 278. Just putting that out there in case it happens.
Do you know what? When we see things like this where it's like, England could be on for 270 here, you tend to see a cluster of wickets happen. So we'll see. Andre Russell anyway, second ball of the over, and gets away with that one, because that was a bit leg side-ish. Phil Salt obviously wanted to go for the pull, doesn't time it, and there'll be a rare dot ball.
I think there's a bit more pace on the ball there, because there's a little bit more pace on the ball. Just length was on a good length. It was in the slot for Phil Salt, probably trying to hit it a little bit too hard. But England are well on course for a score in excess of 220, 240 if Phil Salt hangs around for another 4 or 5 overs.
Got a question about Phil Salt in a minute, but I'll cut to it after this ball. This time, bit of a Yorker there, much fuller delivery from Andre Russell, and the audience gives him a massive round of applause for the second dot ball in a row. That kind of tells you where the game has got to for the West Indies at this point in time. But a bit more pace in it again, Army.
More pace on it, cramping the batter for room, got it into the block hole. That's a lot better. But the problem is getting out of overs for the West Indies. They've either struggled at the start of an over, struggled at the end of an over.
This time Phil Salt does get to the line and length of the ball and just dispatches that over the mid-wicket boundary for 6. Phil Salt is seeing it like a football in general. He moves into the 90s. He's 91 of 40 balls. And I can now get to my Phil Salt question. Before this season, was Phil Salt a likely opener for the World Cup?
Yeah, I think he was.
Okay,
I think he was. Yeah, I think he was. I think him, Bairstow, Jacks, Butler, I think they're the 4 that England would be looking at their top 4.
Russell in again. This time Salt goes down the wicket. He's going to test the long off boundary fielder, but it's Rodman Powell, and there'll be one run there. But
I should say 3 of their top 4, because I think Stokes will end up coming into it with Brook and then Livingston, Mo and Ali.
To refine my question,
round about number 1 to 7.
To refine my question though, did you have him down to start before this series, or do you think this series now puts him in the starting position?
I think this puts him in a great position to start in the World T20. I think he was fighting for with Jacks.
Last ball of the over, and it's Will Jacks, who, having heard Steve Harmison say that Phil Salt is fighting him, simply deposits that one over the lower boundary for 6, and England move to 172 for 1.
Yeah, fantastic shot there from Will Jacks. He's just opened himself up. He's given himself a little bit of room, step to the leg side. There was a little bit of width off. I don't think the ball was going to hit off stump. It was wide of off stump, and I think because of that, it give Will Jacks a chance to open his hands free and hit it straight over. Yeah, straight of extra cover, but it was a well-controlled, beautiful execution of a shot.
This Nepal Mongolia scorecard is a work of art, by the way. The 2 Nepalese openers both went at less than a run a ball. Then their number 3 comes in and he makes 137 off 50, and you're thinking that's pretty tasty. Number 5 comes in and makes 52 off 10. He hit 8 sixes in 10 balls. One guy, Mungan Altan Kiang, bowled 2 overs, 1 for 55. I mean, that's a day's bowling for some people. He then went out to bat later on and he made a duck off 9 balls because Mongolia were bowled out for 41, chasing 314. It's just a bad day of cricket.
That's a bad day. That's a long day of cricket.
You're not going to pay your subs that day,
no,
are you?
You're not. No. I don't even think you're going to have tea either. Really, are you?
The projected run rate or score at the moment is 265, and it's Akil Hussain who will bowl out. And actually both starts with a dot, as Phil Salt cannot beat Andre Russell at cover. Every dot ball feels like a victory at this stage for West Indies, but as Steve Harmison said, the previous over, whether West Indies start an over, well, it's can they get out of the over, and they haven't done so for probably the last 6 or 7 overs. This time Ruston Chase fields at a point, and again there is no run.
Be interesting to see what happens with Phil Salt here, because that's 2 balls now that probably perfect for like the reverse sweep. He hasn't played it. He's now getting close to a milestone, so the milestone's got to be on his mind. Naturally it's on his mind. It would be on anybody's mind, the 100.
And Salt works that into mid-wicket for 1. Tries to come back for 2, and he would have been gone. He was way down the wicket. Will Jackson told him to turn round. Salt was halfway down the wicket. Carl Mayers had a shy at the wicket. If it hit, he would have been gone, but he survives.
Yeah, he was long gone. Not even in the picture, I don't think, was Phil Salt turning around. He's wanting to get the ball into they've set the field for the reverse sweep, but I don't think he really wants to play it. He's not. I don't think Salt's as comfortable as Jacks or Butler playing the reverse sweep. I think he's more comfortable hitting the ball down the ground.
It is Will Jackson's strike, and that's going to be out. All that looks, all 3 of us, myself, Jared and Harmy, all said out straight away. It looks like he's trapped Will Jacks right in front. He's going to consult with Phil Salt. Should he review? I don't think he should. Phil Salt looks like he wants nothing to do with that. They have gone for the review. 3 seconds remaining, and they go for a review. I thought Phil Salt was telling him to go on his way there.
Yeah, I think if I was Phil Salt, I would have said you should have ran for that one, and because you didn't, off you go, because that's stone dead. I think that's hitting halfway up middle stump, pitching in and around off stump, going on straight into middle stump. I think it's a good decision, not a hard decision from Gregory Bathwaite.
So watching this replay again,
front arm coming up,
pitch in middle, crashing into the middle. That's what it looks like to me, but we'll see.
Yeah, good boy, just held it back just a touch. I don't think there's not an under edge on it, because Will Jacks came down and had the conversation with Phil Salt, so that, I think the bat's out of the equation. The only thing that can save him is if it's going down the leg side, but I don't think it's going down the leg side. We're going to see that it's pitching just outside off stump. It's hitting middling off. It's hitting middling off. Hit him the stumps, middling leg. Good decision, right decision. We've wasted probably 30 seconds of this game, because I think if Phil Salt had a little bit more experience, I think he might have just said to his partner, off you go.
It's a tricky one with I'm trying to remember, when you were playing, was DRS still, was it properly in?
It was probably in.
He played before we had colour TV and electricity.
I could remember.
I know I look old. I'm a granddad match.
Was it
but
properly?
hey,
Was it properly?
Come on. I'm not. I played
T20 being invented.
I played the last time we were out there. But yes, it was in. But normally, as a fast bowler, you tended not to get DRS decisions. The batters had either used them, or obviously, batter at the other end. You didn't want to take one up if you weren't number 11.
I'm just always intrigued about those ones where it looks obvious and they aren't told, go on, just walk. But I don't know if maybe that's just part of the parcel of the game. Anyways, West Indies have got a wicket. It's 173 for 2. The new batter is Liam Livingstone, and he immediately gets off the mark with a shot played down to the wide-ish mid-on fielder for 1 run.
Yeah, it looked stone dead. The minute everything left arm round the wicket, it looked everything about it was out. I think Will Jacks knew it was out as well.
Final ball of Akil Hussein's spell, and that will be another single for Phil Salt. Jason Holder fields that a deep extra cover, and there'll be 1 run there. England end the 14th over 175 for 2. They're still going great guns. Phil Salt 94 not out of 45 balls. Liam Livingstone has just come to the crease and he is on 1. Roughly speaking, I mean, Akil Hussain has bowled out, I think, 1 for...
Yeah, he's got 1 for 34. He's bowled nicely.
In the grand scheme of things, that's actually all right.
Yeah, he reverse swept a couple of times for 6, which I think will be an area that I think he'd probably could have seen the batter go a bit earlier and possibly changed up. But the majority of the balls have been, either hit him down the ground. He's bowled quite straight. In reality, 1 for 36 or 4 when you're sitting 14 overs in, 175 for 2 is not a bad return.
So Multi has 2 left. He'll probably bowl out now as well. First ball is short, and Phil Salt just pulls that well. Dissects both the deep mid-wicket fielder Shafane Rutherford and the kind of wideish long-on fielder which was Andre Russell, and that's 4. But that deserved to be dispatched.
Yeah, it is. I think Multi's watched the way Akil Hussein's bowled, and he's bowled at a good pace, but Akil Hussain has bowled it with very tight. He's bowled it a little bit fuller, and I think Multi, unfortunately, is getting caught between that rock and the hard place of putting pace on the ball, but unfortunately he's dragging it down.
This time he goes a bit quicker, and Phil Salt works that to Rothman Powell at long off for 1, and Phil Salt moves to 99, so on the cusp of another T20 international century after hitting 109 not out in the previous game. Perfect situation for Liam Livingstone as well. I'd imagine he'd want to work himself in with a few balls and then just get going from there. England possibly eyeing up 250, 260, if not more. That's a good ball from Gudakesh Multi. And Liam Livingstone can only defend that back down the wicket. It's 2 Multi.
Yeah, that was a better one. But Liam Livingstone, while getting in, he's got to rotate. He's got to get off strike. He's got to give as much strike as he possibly can.
This time he does exactly what Steve Harmison says and plays that 2 long off for 1 to bring Phil Salt back onto strike. 2 balls left of the 15th over. 2 balls for Phil Salt to get what would be another magnificent century for England. Will he get it off this ball? Gudakesh Multi to Phil Salt, and Salt works that down the ground. 2 long off for 1 run, and it is another century for Phil Salt. He moves to 100 not out of 48 balls, back-to-back centuries. He lets out a primal scream of delight, and you can tell that this means a lot to Phil Salt. He's such an exciting talent, and he has proved it once again on this tour of the Caribbean. England are 182 for 2. Phil Salt, we salute you.
Yeah, great innings by Phil Salt. 48 balls, 6 fours, 8 sixes. It has been a masterclass in power play hitting.
Final ball of the over. Liam Livingstone just rotates that 4-1, brings an end to the 15th over. England 183 for 2. Phil Salt 100 not out of 48 balls. Liam Livingstone 3 from 4.
The power play hitting for me is what made that will make that innings from Phil Salt. We talked about many times over the course of the last couple of weeks on what we want and what we expect from Phil Salt, and that's to get England off to a good start. That's what happened when Jason Roy came into the side. It was about strike rate. It wasn't the end product when he first came into the side, and in these last sort of week to 10 days he's turned the immense potential he's got at getting England off to a start from a strike rate point of view, and he's now performing in a way where he is going on and getting big scores. That is a great sign for England for the future as well.
Are you on, Mike? Holder comes in and it's short and just steered away for 4. It's too easy from Livingstone there, and they get another boundary. They had a backward point, a short third, and really Livingstone just lent on that. It was beautiful timing, off cutter, outside off stump. Here's John Norman's voice. You sure you got the right mic? There's a lot of mics in here.
There are a lot of mics.
That's the mic, mate. That's the wrong mic.
Well, I actually had the right mic, but the fader wasn't up. The perils of a producer not being in the same room as the commentary team.
Not even on the same floor.
And the YouTube is on a delay as well, so that can't help him. Holder is in. This is wide, and a big swing of the bat from Liam Livingstone, and it's called wide as well. What I was starting to say on a mic that wasn't switched on was for the TalkSport Cricket YouTube viewers, sure they would have loved to see Michelle beating his chest, adorned with the Caribbean Cricket Podcast on the front as Phil Salt reached 100. Come and check us out, subscribe, leave us a question. Back-to-back 100s then for Phil Salt. Wonderful for him. Short delivery, on the hook is Livingstone, top edge, and it flies over the boundary at long leg for 6. When I was last on, we were looking at the highest scores by an England team, and that score against New Zealand in Napier back in 2019, 241, is starting to appear within reach. 194 for 2.
Well, there's a few. There's also the high score in the West Indies is 245, which is of course Canada versus Panama. You probably remember that game, Monty. We also looked at the highest score ever in a T20 game, which was Nepal making 314 against Mongolia, and I think it's 274 is the highest between two test-playing nations.
11 runs from the over. It's a full toss, a loopy one as well. Slower delivery from Holder. This is smashed to the long off boundary. A diving stop by Hussain, and he even had the nous to attempt to run out at the striker's end. That would have been absolutely incredible if he'd managed that one. Yes, and a big shout out to our Nepalese followers, by the way, because we posted up a video of I think it's Monty Desai, 2 Montys in 1 week, and the coach of Nepal, who will be playing in the T20 World Cup, and we had thousands of viewers from Nepal watch the video, come on and comment, so that was great to see. Yorker on middle stump. Livingstone swings the bat down to chip this away for a single. 197 for 2.
By far the most passionate cricket culture outside of Test cricket, and even probably more passionate than a lot of Test cricket fans. Some of the crowds that they get for their games are just incredible. Someone like Paris Khadkar and Sandeep Lamachani are just absolute celebrities in that country, they probably looked like they were going to have an Afghanistan type rise and then slow down a little bit, but it looks like they're starting to find their form a little bit more, especially in this game against Mongolia.
Holder again. This is clubbed by Phil Salt over Rodman Powell's head and long on. That's an incredible shot. It looked from the shot anyway that ball should be disappearing over mid-wicket, but actually it went straighter than that. It was that kind of tennis shot that we saw from Salt earlier on in the piece. Back of the hand, slower ball, and it bounced up like a tennis ball, didn't it? And he absolutely swatted it for 6 over Powell's head. Oh, and the 200's up. 106 not out. Phil Salt as Holder again goes short. This time pace on, and it's steered down for one. So the incredible rate of 6 hitting continues. 3 boundaries in that over. Jason Holder's gone for 38. He went for 51 when he played at this ground against India. There's only been 2 T20s played here, 2 international T20s. But the list of England T20 centurions features Phil Salt twice now. Now, I did an interview with you earlier on today, didn't I, Monty? And I asked you, one of the questions I asked you was, who holds the highest score for England? And I gave you 3 options, 106, 116 or 126, and you got it right for your bonus points.
I did indeed, and
proud moment.
Very well, big moment, proud moment, and cricket knowledge is good.
Full toss from Moti. This has slipped out of his hand, and it's been cut away via a bottom edge past short third for 4. 208 for 2.
Yeah, it's falling off the rails a little bit for him. Also, to be fair, Monty's main skills maybe not always quiz shows, as we've seen before.
Well, Celebrity Mastermind did get a mention, Monty, and fair to Monty, it was him who mentioned it.
Yeah, I did have a massive meltdown when it came to the general knowledge section. Kept on answering the question previously to what was being answered,
which is a game in itself.
Yes.
Down the leg side, and Moti gets away with this. There is a fielder at short fine, and he runs round to stop this from being boundary number 2 for the over. But that just brings Liam Livingstone on to strike. He's 16 from 8. I don't think has there been a batter that's gone under the strike rate of 200, as Livingstone forces this ball through extra cover for 1.
Yeah, Butler was 189. A paltry 189. The Dawood Milan of this innings.
Get him out. Will Jacks went a strike rate of 266 for his 9 deliveries. Phil Salt down on one knee again. The line isn't right here from Moti. Holder though does field, running around from square leg. Now we saw at the end of the innings on Saturday, Phil Salt looked absolutely knackered, didn't he? He was drenched, he looked like he was really struggling. Now this game is obviously taking place a little later in the day, a bit cooler maybe as Livingstone's down the track. And Ristily plays this to extra cover for a single.
Also, Salt hasn't fielded. It's a big thing about, when you're chasing and you make a big score, that's quite often when you get tired. The first innings you can get through it a little bit, second innings you struggle.
Good point, good point. This is a horrible delivery from Moti. It's a half tracker, and Phil Salt just latches onto that. You don't need to be standing there with 100 next to your name to feast on those kind of deliveries. And I hazard a guess that brings to a close the most expensive figures in Moti's short T20 career. 4 overs bowled and 55 runs coming from it. Just 3 dot balls in 24 balls delivered. And that is one hell of a painful way to sign out. 218 for 2 England, and we've still got 3 overs left.
Yeah, we have indeed, and they'll be looking to get to 250 if they can. And what was it, 274?
I think 274 is the record for test playing nations, Afghanistan versus Ireland.
So yeah, that could be on
You
the
think
cards as
314's not possible?
Well, I think this is completely taken us by surprise, how well England are batting at the moment. And even Darren Sammy doesn't have any answers to this. But what made it really interesting for me was with Modi, he could have gone over the wicket. If he was going to get hit one side of the side, it could have been leg side.
Matthew Ford is back, and he will have to bowl the first ball of his 3rd over again. This is well wide, and we saw England do this against West Indies, essentially just try and get the ball as wide as humanly possible. You're going to get it wrong on occasion. Ford did then. 35 runs from his 2 overs though, on debut as well.
Yeah, he's almost never bowled in the death before. He's bowled 3 overs in the last over and a couple before then. He usually goes at around 10 This is just not what he does domestically.
I think he'd take 10 right now if offered. Well, there's possibly 6 of them. Yes, just. Power was interested a long on. I think Livingston knew, but Ford would have taken 10 before that ball. He certainly would now. 7 from 1 legal delivery, and Liam Livingston has just toe-ended one for a maximum.
Yeah, this is really good, power hitting, and they've got to keep going like this. 16 sixes already, and it's funny to see in the first 2 T20s only 21 sixes.
He's gone again as Livingston. I'm not sure he's got all of it, but he doesn't need to. He's muscled this over mid-wicket, and that is back-to-back sixes. And Livingston now is hitting at nearly a strike rate of 300.
Yeah, this was brilliant batting, going deep into the crease, creating that room for himself. It was big, it was long, and it was out of here.
Well, a little conversation between Matthew Ford, who's going at an economy of 20, and Jason Holder, who was only going at 13s. 231 for 2. Livingston readies himself. He attempts to go again, and I think he just about manages it. This was flatter and carved over the covers, and Livingston has gone 6, 6, 6.
Well, that bat is unbelievable. The sound, the noise of it, just hitting behind point, went off like a tracer bullet. I would like to have one of his bats in my bag.
What's Livingston got here? It goes again, but this time it's thrashed along the ground to Jason Holder. That wide, long off. Respite momentarily, perhaps, for Matthew Ford. But England now are going to absolutely obliterate their highest score in T20 cricket. 238 for 2, and we've still got 14 deliveries left. Phil Salt, 119. That's the highest score an England batter has ever hit in a men's international T20. And it's Salt who is facing up, and he's beaten. He's beaten. It's a dot ball.
No, I think he's already got the highest score. It was 116 by Hales, wasn't it?
Oh, isn't that what I just said?
I thought he said. Oh, sorry, he's got it. Sorry, yep.
Yep, Monty got that question right, remember?
We've got to change the answer to that now. It's Phil Salt.
Oh, it's true. We're going to have to go and re-record.
So that one more boundary will get them past their highest score as well, with if they did it this ball with 2 overs to spare.
Let's see if they do. Ford is in, and it's played back to the bowler. So 2 dot balls at the end of the over. 238 for 2. It was a fascinating chat we had, Monty. Jared, I asked Monty at the end of it where he saw himself in 20 years, and we talked a bit about that. And then essentially I said him this kind of tease. I said, right, okay, you're in the building. Piers Morgan, for whatever reason, can't do his evening show. It's on you. And you can have 3 guests. 3. And we can get any of them. They have to be living. Can you guess? And I'll give you a clue, because it would be a bit ridiculous to pick 3 names out of, 6 billion people. There's a cricketer in there. There's a very famous politician. And an extremely famous female pop singer. You've got 2 overs to try and wrap your... If you can get 1 of 3...
I thought the politician might be Donald Trump.
I've seen, spot on, brother.
I've seen enough of your...
dynamo here.
I've seen enough of your videos and tweets online. I had a hunch. The pop star, I don't think I'm going to do very well. I'll go Scary Spice.
Well, I tell you what,
Scary
that
Spice.
was Scary Spice. In a cricket delivery by Andre Russell, fired down the leg side, 2 wide for the keeper, and 4 runs have been signalled by the umpire. So 5 more to the score, and England do go past their international T20 best in a manner that is really fitting for the West Indies bowling today.
Oh, that's horrible. Dwayne Bravo and Andre Russell and even Jason Holder at times have tried this around the wicket sort of Yorker style. But you don't have to get it that wrong. And unfortunately for Nicholas Pooran, it seemed to hit the foot marks and bounce up in a weird way, but horrible start.
Livingston facing, and he thrashes this one really, no timing, scuffs along the floor. He sets off though quickly. Everybody wants to bat today, and he comes back for a second. 245 for 2.
I don't know, because there's two Spice Girls with the name Mel.
It's not a Spice Girl.
Okay, I wouldn't. The pop.
It's a current
Taylor Swift
pop star. No, I mean it's not quite. To be honest, I was alright with that one. Beyonce.
Oh, okay, that's fair.
Yeah.
Cricketer, I'm thinking Sachin.
Wide of the crease from Russell, and this is flogged to the fielder at long off by Livingston. He's 40 from 16. You can check this video out. It's not available yet, but it will be. And there's some great stuff in it. It's a really good interview. But
sorry for spoiling.
There's no point. Well, I did ask you the question, I suppose. No point watching the end of it though.
I'm actually a little bit disappointed I didn't do Beyonce now, to be honest.
I thought you might have said Rihanna, because you might have thought cricketing link or whatever, but beaten all ends up this time. Fall from Russell over the wicket, fired in at leg stump, and Salt down on the slog sweep, misses, and you know the rest. Handshakes all round. A word of praise from Russell to Salt. He would have enjoyed that innings if it had been him with the bat in the hand, but Phil Salt's masterful knock comes to an end, and England lose their third. 2-4-6 for 3.
I think what happened there was he might have flicked his pad with his bat as it's coming through, and why he missed it. But that's the angle that Andre Russell is trying to make, which is just cramping you up. You don't have many options. You can't free your arms. You almost have to swing across it. It was probably, looking back on it, and I think Salt was a bit frustrated because he was thinking to himself, I probably could have swept that away quite easily, but I do think he just flicked his pad on the way through. But well done to Andre Russell for getting that one right. But the game might already be gone, Monty.
Yeah, I think you're probably right. I think on this kind of slow nature pitch, I think they've got far too many runs, and it's possibly to do with a lack of game plans from Powell, the captain. Coming over the wicket, should have done that earlier with the spinners and the seamers. But what a fine innings by Phil Salt. 6-sitting machine that he is. And we often talk about what we want to, look at. What is it like, as a team that hits sixes all around the ground? This is the team that you want to be watching. The England current team. They've been unbelievable today.
Well, Russell attempts something similar, and Harry Brook, who is the new batter, gets across to the offside and tries to flick this down the leg side, and somehow manages from the outside edge of the bat, I think, deflect the ball past off stump for a single.
Am I right? He hits his pad there, do you think?
Was it his pad? I thought it was his bat. We'll see in a second, I suppose. You're talking about Phil Salt?
Yeah, I think he just flicks his back.
The ball hits his pad.
The ball goes through his legs, but I think it's just on the way out. But Russell gave him a little wink and Holder gave him a high five.
That's a very high five, I imagine. Full and drilled to long off for another single. That brings Harry Brook back on strike. Livingston moves to 41 from 17. 41 from 17, and might get a mention.
He was all right, wasn't he?
Oh yeah, he played, didn't he? I mean, it's been one of those innings.
Is that the Arthur Morris one where they say, where were you when Bradman went out for a duck, and he says, I made 189 at the other end?
Full again from Russell. This is actually a very good over. When I say that, there's a misfield at long off, and that allows one to turn into two. It's still a good over. One wicket coming from it, and 7-8 runs from Russell's third over. He won't bowl the 20th. He'll only bowl 3 today. In hindsight, that might have been a mistake, because he's actually been one of the more economical of the West Indies fast bowlers. And there we have it, 250 for 3. Highest totals by England, and it trumps the 241 for 3 against New Zealand 4 years ago. I think CricViz has an England win up to 98.5%, which, when you consider West Indies haven't even batted yet, that tells you a lot about how England have gone.
Yeah, it's I think on Cricket Info it's been about 98.4% for most of the time as well. It's not a good graphic. This is a very bad game to bet on because one team got in front very early and it's been like that for a long way.
John07 says West Indies have the power hitters to win this match. That's on the TalkSport Cricket YouTube stream right now. Get involved. Jason Holder will bowl the final over, full toss, and smashed away for one bounce 4. That was a poor start from Holder, but there is a feeling that it doesn't really matter. It doesn't matter from here.
Well, it doesn't really, but I think that's what they've got to do now. From this point, the next 5 deliveries, a swing from their bootlaces, and they've really dominated the whole, match here. And it's just been brilliant, hasn't it?
Well, it has been brilliant. I'm not sure our West Indies fans who have been listening and joining us in droves will agree, but it's been incredible, really. Short delivery this time, really wide of Livingston, and it's that tennis ball bounce again, and forehand smash down to long off for a single to bring Harry Brook back on strike. Livingston 46 now from 19, 5 runs from this over. I'm thinking that crowd that were expected to come in as the game progressed might have got about halfway to the ground and thought, I'll come on Thursday. It's all gone a little bit quiet. It's in one of the noisiest grounds in the Caribbean. Dug out by Harry Brook, and he will come back for 2. He moves to 5. Livingston looking like he's going to miss out on that 50.
It's probably the first ground we've seen more West Indian fans than England fans as well, so it's a real shame that this is what is being met. There was a small boy with a sign up before saying it was his first match. He'll remember it, but perhaps not for the reasons he would have wanted to.
There is a thrill though when you're actually in a T20 game or any cricket game. Just the power of the ball landing in the crowd. It doesn't really matter who you're watching. There's that period where it's in the air and you just don't know where it's going to go. It's going to come to you, it's going to hit you wide, and kind of a top hit. I think there was through the shot too early. I think there was another slower delivery from Holder, and Brook was through the shot a fraction too early, and that means that Livingston does have a chance to reach 50. He's got 2 balls to get them in. He's 46 not out, and Rovman Powell, well, sum up that expression if you can. He's got the double teapot on already.
A 4 or a 6 here would catapult England up the highest ever total list, by the way.
Let's hope Liam Livingston knows it's on the thigh of Livingston, and he will pick up a boundary just backward of square leg, and that's 50 for Liam Livingston from just 20 deliveries. Another incredible knock. And where has this England team been hiding? I imagine that must be the fastest 50 for an Englishman in T20 cricket as well.
They're currently the 6th highest score in T20 International. 1 ball to go. They can go past the 5th team as well here.
Well, they're going to get another delivery because this is short and wide, and there's no chance Livingston could have connected with that. In fact, the only batter in world cricket that might have been tall and long enough is the bloke bowling the ball. Run rate of over 13 in this innings so far. 263 for 3 England. Back-to-back centuries for Phil Salt. 50s for Jos Buttler and Liam Livingston. And Jason Holder is about to bowl the final delivery, and Livingston will pick up a 4. It doesn't go where he intended. It doesn't really matter. A thick outside edge flies between keeper and short third, and that brings to an end the most explosive and expensive innings England have ever put on in the history of T20 cricket. They end up with a massive score, 267 for 3.
Biggest score by England, biggest score on the West Indies, and the 5th biggest score in the history of T20 internationals.
Yeah, it's just unbelievable how they're able to turn it around. Like, you know, it was only a couple of weeks ago, really, when West Indies were dominating, and now look at them. They're like playing like they are the world beaters, and it all started off with Jos Buttler with that impressive innings of 55 of 29 deliveries, and then Phil Salt continued with his form from the last game and scored back-to-back hundreds, and now the highest T20 100 by an Englishman of 119, and then it was Liam Livingstone at the back end, 54 of 21 deliveries, 4 sixes. His confidence is growing, and I think that number 4 spot could be his when the World Cup starts. What an unbelievable performance. England are just peaking at the right time because they know how important it is to get their best 11 right. This has been one of the best performances ever. We don't need a reset button. We just need a change of attitude, and Jos Buttler showed that, and what a brilliant performance it has been overall.
Steve Huddleston is just going to come in. He's going to be sitting on Michelle's microphone just for the next 3 or 4 minutes. I'll let Monty go. He's going to be back for the first stint of the second innings, along with Michelle St Patrick Hewitt. Harvey, I mean, that was brilliant, but boy oh boy, did the West Indies get that bowling wrong or what?
Yeah, look, I sit here because I've been critical of England during the World Cup, first 2 games. I've been very critical of Liam Livingstone over the course of that timing coming in. So I don't really want to go on too much on the West Indies bowling. I want to go on the brilliance of what England have done. Phil Salt has shown again what he can do. He's not faced that 20 balls and got out. He's gone on and on and on and got to the 100. We talked about Liam at the start, and I find it hard because in 50 over cricket he's been in so many shadows because of this great side. In T20 cricket he seems to know his role a lot better when he gets to fulfill that role, and we talked about it just before the game. That last 5 overs, and I think he came in in the 14th over, didn't he? 14.5 overs when he came out to bat, and that for me was brutal. That's what we want to see from Liam Livingstone. He is a phenomenal talent. I feel awful criticising him because of the talent that the boy's got. Unbelievable in the field. He's got all range of bowling qualities you need for a spin bowler. He is smart when it comes to his bowling. When he's batting, when he gets on a roll, he is just completely unstoppable from an opposition. Whether you bowl spin at him, whether you bowl seam at him, you go for the wide Yorkers, he's got the wrists, and you go for the sour balls and into the pitch, he's got the power, and it's great. He's standing in front of us with a smile on his face on a screen, and I'm pleased to see that because it has been a tough time for him, and this innings hopefully just kick-starts what is going to be the next 6 months of his career, which I think he goes to SA20, then he's got the IPL, and then he's got World T20, and if he can stay in this form, he's a huge asset to the England cricket team.
What about West Indies though, the way they went about their bowling?
Average, absolutely atrocious. If this had been England, I'd have been the long run would have been extended. I can feel it. I can feel our co-commentator Alex Tudor. I can hear him shouting at his radio or shouting at his TV, "Why are you bowling slower balls? Why are you not hitting the pitch?" I thought it was a really, really poor performance from a side who I wonder, after 2 games, they're thinking we've done the job. Game's done. Job's done. That's it. This England side hasn't been the greatest tour for them up to now. We've got them where we want them, and when you let your opponent, especially with the calibre of players that England have got off the hook, then all of a sudden they come back to haunt you, and when that happens, it's very, very difficult to get back to gear 5 to stop the train that's sort of chugging along, or that's motoring along. West Indies motored along for the first 2 games, and now England look unstoppable. I said after 3 overs I didn't think this was a 180 pitch, and I still don't believe if you run up, England's bowlers run up, bowl it hard into a length without giving the batter any width, I think you'll see that it's not a 180. It's a less than a 180 pitch. I just thought they were awful. I thought their lines, their lengths, their decision making was really poor. And apart from possibly Akeal Hussain, who I didn't think bowled too badly, He got he got reverse swept a couple of times. I thought the rest were pretty average. I really don't understand the pace off all the time. Pace off. On a size of a ground, it's not small ground as Brian Lara Academy cricket ground, and a surface which has got a little bit of inconsistency in it, in my eyes. If you hit the pitch hard and make the batter, play the big shot, there's a good chance of chipping up in the air. I don't think West Indies put enough balls in a consistent area enough to ask England questions. Every time they bowled a good ball, they bowled 4 or 5 right long hops to go with it, and overs were going for 15 and 20. Far too easy for me.
So how do England go about it? Because we kind of saw West Indies and they came out to bowl and field, more importantly, on Saturday, with England chasing 223, which we thought was a huge ask, and it was. There was a little touch of complacency about things. So, England just need to, I'm sure they won't, they just need to make sure that they aren't guilty of a similar thing.
No, I don't think there will be. I think when you look at the likes of Topley, his experience, his height, areas that he bowls, Chris Wokes, with the way he bowls, you bowl it more into the surface. I think from a complacency point of view, I don't think that will be anywhere evident tonight from an England point of view. Plus, I think what you've got to look at as well, John, is England are still 2-1 down in the series. You've got a World T20 in 4 games from England's point of view's time, and you've got guys here who are desperately playing for their place, i.e. Chris Wokes. Reece Topley, is he going to stay the number 1 left arm option? So I can't see any complacency coming. I can see a thorough professional performance in the second half, in one where at the end of the game we see the West Indies bowled out for 140, 150. You might have a train of thought and go, well, it was just a massive ask. They've had to go for it. They've had to play all the big shots literally from ball 1. They've lost far too many wickets in clusters. If that's what happens, then I would probably throw in that England have probably bowled a better line, a better length, and been more consistent and executed their plans a hell of a lot better than what the West Indies did to England when England batted.
It looks on paper like the West Indies cannot possibly chase 268, but in the third T20 we said that England couldn't possibly chase the total that they had. So who knows what awaits us today. Jared Kimber, how will West Indies win this?
when you say on paper, just look at the Duckworth-Lewis calculation. If West Indies lost 5 wickets in the first 5 balls, they would need to be 96 by the end of the over to be on par. It just shows you how, Duckworth-Lewis is we don't know how to compute what is happening in front of us at the moment. But Moeen Ali to start, I think this is, using a finger spin against these 2 guys is a very good way of starting the innings. Makes sense, and this could be fun.
Monty Panesar, England's game to lose?
England game to win. I think it should be 100% England going to win this game. I just can't see West Indies chase 268, and even if they get to 200, I think it'd be a good achievement from them. But they've scored far too many runs here.
So it's Moeen Ali to start off against Brandon King, and gone. First ball, Brandon King is out. I'm not quite sure what he was attempting there, but I think he catches a thick outside edge. I don't know if he's trying to go fine, and all he can do is find Reece Topley positioned at almost like a short third man wide-ish gully. And if West Indies were trying to chase 268, that's not the way to do it.
Yeah, I think it was supposed to be a cut shot, Monty, but his weight was going the wrong direction. He wasn't really set to play the cut shot, but he saw it was a bad ball, and he thought, well, I'd better smash this before. And it's a horrible... It's horrible for him. He got hit in the field and hurt his knee. He's come back out. He's done almost nothing in this game, and he's walking off. But yeah, horrible start for the West Indies there. Not a good ball by England at all, but a bonus.
Yeah, I think what Moeen Ali tried to do there was bowl it wider. Rather than look the ball to turn, he went for the bounce because he knew King was going to come hard at him. And it'll be interesting to see how Moeen Ali now goes against someone like Pooran, who give him a few balls, he'll free his arms up, and how Moeen Ali looks to not maybe take a wicket, but restrict the players to hit the boundary option. And that's what I think is going to be impressive about about Moeen Ali, how he's able to make it difficult for the West Indies batsmen to hit boundaries, because that's what they need. The West Indies batters, they need to hit boundaries from ball one.
Moeen Ali for his second, I was about to say looking for an early hat-trick, but he won't get one. Nicholas Pooran just defends that to gully for no run. Now it'll be very interesting to see, and just going back to that Brandon King dismissal, Jared was of course right. He tried to go for the cut but just caught himself in no man's land, and it was a nothing shot in the end. Nicholas Pooran brings out the reverse immediately. It's the reverse sweep, and it's 4 runs straight over the cover boundary.
That was not the length to play that shot in the end, and he fully committed to it and hit it perfectly. It's good connection, actually. He's unlucky not to get a 6 there, but this could be fun no matter what happens.
Most definitely. And Pooran goes for the reverse again, just beats the diving cover fielder. It's another 4. We'll have to see just how close the fielder got to that. But certainly shouts of catch it. But
yeah, this what makes it difficult to bowl at someone like Pooran, who is one of the great West Indian T20 players. He can reverse sweep Moeen Ali's best deliveries like that. What do you do next? Do you go quicker into the pitch? Do you throw the ball up? That's what Moeen Ali will be thinking right now.
Surely Pooran doesn't go well. I was about to say surely he won't go for a sweep this time, but it goes the other way. He goes leg side this time and dispatches it over the mid-wicket boundary for 6. Remember, Nicholas Pooran is playing at home. He is from Trinidad, and the Trinidad fans are excited. In no time at all, West Indies are 14 for 1.
He's got a career strike rate of 113 against off-spin, and he's just like, this is a good batting wicket. Moeen Ali, they're using this as a matchup. I'm just going to go with everything. That was a filthy shot. That should be R-rated. I don't know what the ratings are in this country, but you wouldn't be allowed to show that to your students, Mash.
And the thing is, I haven't even had time, because Pooran's decided to just go straight after it. I haven't even had time to, and I still don't have time, because it's Moeen Ali in again, and Pooran goes again. Can you believe it? He's pulled this one again over the mid-wicket boundary for 6. And what an over we've had here. Wicket dot 4466. And at the end of the first over, Nicholas Pooran is 20 and West Indies are 20 for 1.
If I'm not mistaken, Monty, and I think I'm not, they are 1 run behind on Duckworth Lewis.
Well, this is brilliant hitting. This is one of the reasons why Nicholas Pooran does so well in the IPL. That 6-7 position, him coming at top of the order. He's got to continue to bat in this vein, and he's got to I think get to 3 figures, to be honest. If Nicholas Pooran gets to 3 figures, then I think West Indies have a chance. But 20 runs of 5 deliveries, my man, the Caribbean podcast cricket, he's got a smile on his face today. First time I've seen him smile.
First time someone's called it the Caribbean podcast cricket, though, which is what I love. But, yeah, great start for England and the West Indies, because England did get a wicket in that over, and it's Reece Topley to go. Carl Mayers decides to go for his classic uppercut slap shot into the cover or point region, but it plugs in the outfield. I think they come back for 2. But I think the West Indies plan of attack is clear.
They could legitimately win this game and legitimately be out in the 7th over. The way they're going at the moment, they're going at every single ball. I'm not even going to see if Topley's swinging it. It's outside my eye line. I like hitting the ball over offside. I'm just going to swing it. It went straight up in the air. Anything could have happened.
That shot that Carl Mayers plays, I think we've seen several video memes or clips of shots like that, whether in the SA20. I think it's a favourite shot of his.
The one off Mitchell Stark?
I can't remember. Was it
Australia? Yeah, it was incredible.
Topley again into Mayers. Again, Mayers swings the whole kitchen sinker. That one gets nothing on it, and it goes through to Phil Salt. Remember, Phil Salt is wicket keeping today. Josh Butler, is in the outfield. Just trying to establish where in the outfield Josh Butler is, if he's at slip or in the covers. We'll soon be able to tell you that. Is that slip, I believe?
Yeah, you can. I think you can immediately see, how the English seamers are bowling. They're bowling more defensive line, bowling wide of the wicket, and I think they're going to.
This time Reece Topley drags that a bit wide-ish. Mayers is able to swivel on that, and it goes just past fine leg. And it was a bit of a sloppy piece of cricket there, both the delivery from Topley, and Mayers did he glove it? He didn't really get the connection he wanted on it.
He picked that up quite late, I think. It was a good surprise short ball, but it was probably too straight, and he just helped it down where there was no fielder.
But clearly Mayers is going after every single ball. West Indies are prepared to lose wickets in going for this, it would appear. Topley again, and Mayers just leans into it and pulls it over long off for 6. And this is quite something. If you are not listening right now to Talk Sport 2 and you're not watching on the YouTube feed, you need to do one, if not both, because the West Indies are clearly saying there's game on here.
This is just absolutely bizarre. It's brilliant.
Well, it is brilliant. You know, I think that's what Mayer's got to do. He's got to bring a bit of Chris Gale into him, and anything that is in his half just got to go out of the ground, and that's what he's doing at the moment.
So this has been an eventful second over as well. 2.46. Topley versus Mayers. 5th ball of the over. And that goes high up in the air. Mayers doesn't get enough on it. He tried to pull it. It's gone way up and taken on the second attempt. Chris Woakes initially, dropped it, fumbled it, but caught it on the second attempt just before it hits the ground. He was stationed at mid-on, just inside the perimeter, and Mayers' eventful stay at the crease comes to an end.
Did you call that a pull shot? What did you call it? Do you remember? No, I'm just asking. I'm trying to.
I think he was trying to pull it
because it was kind of like a pull shot,
but it was a toe end on it.
Yeah, it was just basic slog by the end, Ross. He lost his shape completely. He just wanted to hit it really, really hard, and he hit it straight up in the air. That was a really good ball, Monty. That was a length ball outside off stump that was swinging away. You should be nicking that to second slip, not getting caught off the toe, hitting it straight up in the air. Proper slogging cricket. They haven't changed the order, so they could have thrown up someone like Holder, Akil Hussain, anyone, but Hope has come out. This is, what's that movie? Is it? I'm trying to remember the one with all the music in it. I know the line is "Not my tempo." This is not Shy Hope's tempo. This innings.
Well,
Whiplash. Whiplash is the movie.
I was going to say the analogy you gave me was I thought I was playing the game show there, but we got there in the end.
But the point being that you got a man coming out with a strike rate of 125, and West Indies are trying to currently score at a strike rate of 400.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting now, as you say, Jared, with Shea Hope now coming in. Surely they're not going to tell him to just keep going for it as well. I know that 268 is a mammoth total to get, but is it time to calm down for a bit? We'll soon see. Topley into Shea Hope, and Hope plays a classic cricket shot into the covers for no run, and that brings an end to the second over. So the first 2 overs have seen a wicket fall in both overs, but the West Indies have raced to 32 for 2. What do you make of this start, Hanasar?
Yeah, I think England will be delighted. They picked up 2 big wickets, and West Indies, they've got to do the right thing here. They've got to just keep going hard and not lose the side of the run chase. Really, they've just got to, any ball that they can hit out of the ground, they look to do that, and they've got the power hitting. The West Indies are full of 6 hitters, and we all know how powerful they are. Once they get going, the likes of Powell, Rutherford, both being picked up in the IPL, so has Hope as well. So there's plenty of power, and then with Andre Russell at the back end, you just never know. But they've got to keep going hard. They can't just be in their shell.
So England make another bowling change. It'll be Chris Woakes to bowl the 3rd over. Nicholas Pooran back on strike. Oh, and that's a beauty from Chris Woakes. Climbs on Nicholas Pooran. Pooran unlucky not to edge it through to Phil Salt. Maybe the bounce just surprised Nicholas Pooran a bit, although he was late on the shots at the same time.
But I think sometimes, the game situation makes it a lot easier. So Chris Woakes' bowling is best delivery, hitting the deck hard. And if you can get any movement from the seam with this new delivery, he may even get a wicket.
And again, this time I think deceives Nicholas Pooran. Pooran was through the shot, almost before the ball had reached him. Maybe pace off there from Chris Wilkes, only 111 kilometres there, so pace off from Chris Wilkes, and Pooran threw the shot, lost his shape, not the dot ball.
Yes, good. This is good variation, good smart bowling from Chris Wilkes, who's actually been picked up by Punjab Super Kings in the IPL as well. So there's a few rich guys in this team at the moment from both sides. But from an England point of view, it makes it a lot easier for them. They know that the West Indies will be coming hard, and it makes it a lot easier to set the field as well.
And again, Pooran cannot get anything on this. What appears to be deceiving Pooran here? He's not able to read almost what Chris Wilkes is doing.
Well, I think it's bat swing. He's probably swinging from the top of his mark, and then I think Chris Wilkes exactly knows where he wants to hit it. And he wants pace on the ball, because with the pace he can really then use his quick hands. But here the ball is dying out of the pitch because the pitches are just breaking up a little bit as well.
Well, this time Pooran does go after a bit more width on offer there from Chris Wilkes. Pooran goes hard at it, flashes past where slip would have been, and gets 4 runs.
Yeah, this is again, makes it difficult, isn't it? When you're bowling to someone like Nicholas Pooran, eventually he's going to connect, and he's got great wrists and beautiful bat swing as well, and that's just raced away past first slip. And the loyal fan base of West Indian cricket, they are loving it.
Well, Pooran doesn't want to hang about here in terms of well, that's just brilliant. That's just brilliant. Pitched up slightly there by Chris Wilkes, and Pooran just deposits that straight back over Wilkes' head for 6. Nicholas Pooran moves to 30.
That's a beautiful shot. We've seen some good shots today. I'm not sure anyone has played something more graceful than this.
Yeah, that was a holder poles one as well.
Yeah, exactly. He made sure every person with a smartphone in the ground got a photo of that one. Absolutely perfect. And just pops it straight back over the bowler's head for 6. I'm trying to work out, Monty, what are these slow balls from Chris Wilkes? It looks like he's running his fingers behind the ball, is it? Or because it's not a knuckleball, but it's really going slow.
Yeah, it is, and I think he's just becoming a little bit predictable. And then
Pooran climbs into this one. Has he got enough on it? I think that may have bounced into the rope. They'll have to look at it again. There was the long on fielder. Well, there was no long on fielder because they were positioned at mid-on, and they'll have to check to see if it bounced just before the boundary rope. Or was it full?
Well, I don't think we quite saw because the camera operator was trying to get back there, but there is a big divot about a foot behind the rope. So I don't know if that's where the ball landed or not. He clocked this though. So the short ball outside off stump doesn't really get a big piece of it, but as you said, because mid-on was up, he only had to clear that fielder, and in the end he's still hit it 76 metres. And yeah, that was the divot. That's what I saw. It's a big chunk of the ground. So it's gone for 6.
Flat 6, yeah. Well, not flat 6, but it's a 6, sorry. So that last over there, despite the first 3 balls going for dots, Pooran ends the over, taking 16 off it, and Reece Topley will return for the 4th over of the game. And it's Shea Hope, who you could be forgiven for forgetting was on strike.
Did you ever see Rahul Dravid play in the IPL?
I did not actually.
So when he played, quite often he would try and slog, but he would try and slog in the way of, like trying to watch a great artist do a finger painting. Like it just didn't make sense. Watch Shai Hope on that last ball there. He was like, I'm going to slog this ball from Reece Topley, and in the end he just sort of ran into it because he doesn't know how to slog.
Got an IPL deal though. Reece Topley into Shai Hope. Well, Shai Hope reaches into his archive of classic cricket shots and actually just deposits that one over mid-on for 6. You wouldn't call that one a slog.
That's a remarkable shot. Look at his feet here. This is a front foot drive off a ball that's probably maybe not quite back of a length, but certainly was going to go above the stumps. That is just, it reminds me a little bit of the Virat Kohli shot in the World Cup a couple of years ago. Wow.
Topley again, and Hope this time. Well, and that's excellent fielding. Is that Joe? It was Josh Butler. Josh Butler at mid on there.
What a game that Josh Butler has decided to not be the wicketkeeper and have to he's going to have to be talking to his bowlers every 5 minutes, and he's just going to have to say to them, eventually you're going to hit the ball straight up in the air. Just be patient.
Well, pre-match, Josh Butler in the interview said something on the lines of, I want to be able to have more conversations with the bowlers. Well, this is the game to be having those conversations, because this pitch is certainly playing as well as it was for England earlier on. West Indies are 55 for 2 after 3.3 overs. The run rate is 12.91. Required run rate, sorry.
Yeah, and they obviously got a change in the field. They know they got Reece Topley's got 2 deep men on the leg side.
Pooran back on strike, and he just swivels, tucks this one off his hip, and they will have to check if that was force. Harry Brook down there, just square, backwards of square. He's come round and had to do a diving stop. He may have been touching the rope as he fielded that, and no actual, well, they may need to check that. It looks like he's just got it away, but that trailing leg, they may want to look at that again. And in fact, the third umpire said signal 2, so it is not a boundary. Nicholas Pooran will stay on strike. This one wide of the off stump. Nicholas Pooran throws everything at it, doesn't connect. A rare dot ball in this West Indies innings thus far.
Yeah, it is indeed. And someone like Reece Topley, he's certainly getting tested by Nicholas Pooran, who's a 360 cricketer. And Devil wanted to play cricket, so Nicholas Pooran was born. This guy is unbelievable. He gets 100 today. I reckon West Indies will win it.
Monty Panesar has changed his mind no less than 3.5 overs into this game. Reece Topley to end the 4th over, and it's a misfield by Rehan Ahmed on the 45. But Pooran only runs through for 1, so actually they did not run on the misfield. And there are 10 runs off that Reece Topley over.
I don't know if there was 2 runs there, but I'll say this: Pooran didn't care. He just wanted to keep the strike. That's proper batting. Monty said if he makes 100, they'll win. We might know that in about 3 overs.
So after 4 overs, West Indies are 58 for 2. At this same time, England were 36 without loss. Nicholas Pooran is 39 from 14 balls, and Shai Hope is 7 from 4. For those keeping the stats at home, the West Indies require 13.12 per over, which sounds a lot, but actually on this pitch may not be. The wickets will come into play, but if West Indies were not to lose wickets, that 13.12 is not looking difficult.
Yeah, I agree with you there. But I think where the game's going to be won or lost is between the 16th and the 20th over, because that's where I think England were at their most prolific. And with West Indies, they've lost 2 early wickets. So again, the huge onus is going to be on Nicholas Pooran, but how can we forget? One of the great big 6 hitting in Andre Russell. If he comes in on the 15th over, and let's say West Indies are 170 for 5, and we got Big Russ coming on. I think tomorrow that episode of Caribbean Podcast Cricket.
It will definitely be a fascinating one.
That would. You'll be a very busy man tomorrow morning.
You might have to go home and record one tonight if that happens.
Well, we're having a bit of a delay. If you're wondering why we haven't...
If you're wondering why we're talking about your podcast.
Nicholas Pooran is talking, I think, to the square leg umpire. Bit of a difficult conversation going out there on the outfield, to say the least. And we will now resume. Sam Curran is the new bowler, so another bowling change for England. Sam Curran bowling back in the power play again. He's bowled everywhere this series. Into Nicholas Pooran. I think that's going to be out. It's gone high. Who's underneath it? It's a fantastic catch. It's Harry Brook who's underneath it, running in from probably a shortish, running in from long on. And Nicholas Pooran will have to go for 39, and I just wonder if that delay before we restarted, something had bothered Nicholas Pooran. He was in certainly having protestations with someone. It looked like the umpire. In the first ball of this over, Harry Brook has taken somewhat of a diving catch. It's a good diving catch. Nicholas Purham's gone.
I think they had the two guys set out on the leg side there, Monty, if I'm not mistaken. That ball was actually fairly straight. If he played that straight drive that we saw him play earlier, I think he would have been fine there. But by trying to whip it across the line, he kind of got under it and scooped it up in the air. So, look, it's a shame. I was just having a look at CricViz. Up until that ball, they had him as plus 22 runs in this innings. You are not supposed to be 39 off 14 balls, are you?
And so this is a problem when you're chasing a total of 268 to win. You can go hard, but more often than not, 9 times out of 10, if you go this hard, wickets are going to fall. And I don't know at what point when you're chasing 268 Monty Panesar that you can ever consolidate. But if they are going to consolidate, it feels like they may want to just calm down for a few overs.
Yeah, the next couple of overs they may look to consolidate, but 268, how often do West Indies get a chance to chase a mammoth score like this? So I think everything is in England's favour, and they've just got to just keep a cool head, not panic.
New battery, Shafane Rutherford, and he backs away to leg off the first ball they faces from Sam Curran. He actually lost a hand off the bat. It's an extraordinary shot. He backed away to like the sixth stump on leg stump on the leg side, takes his hand off the bat, somehow able to squirt it through past mid wicket for 4. Extraordinary, Jared.
Yeah, that probably should have been stopped. But how do you play a back foot cover drive from outside leg stump? Just remarkable. And first ball as well.
And this time he whips it to the leg side. There should be cut off there, and it is. It's by Harry Brook, who took the good catch off Nicholas Purham. And that's just 1 run there.
Yeah, this was exactly what you're talking about, Gerard. This was a brilliant catch, but he just played it too in front of square. If he played it nice and straight, like he earlier did against, Wokes, that would have been another perfect straight shot into the stands. But sometimes the field setting, change of angle, gets the batsman to think differently. And both of these guys, Rutherford and Hope, they'll be hoping to get some runs on the board. Get some... show the IPL teams why they've been selected.
This time Hope is glorious. Just leans into that, straight through the covers, and that's 4 runs. Jared Kimmer has his head in his hands. He'll soon explain to me why.
It's just, they're going absolute, they're trying to smash you, and you bowled a half volley outside off stuff. All they need to do here is probably bowl length for another over and a half, and I think they'll get at least 1 more wicket, just the way that the West Indies are playing. Yes, there might be another 30 runs there, but a half volley outside off stump, you're waiting for them to make a mistake. That's what Shai Hope wants.
And this time, the previous one actually went through point. This time he tries to go through covers, and it's a quick shy at the stump. Someone's on the ground. It's Shafane Rutherford. They do get 1 run there, but it was tight. The shy came from Liam Livingstone in the covers, and if it hit, Rutherford would have been gone.
Yeah, this is brilliant fielding. And like you said, they just got to bowl their best delivery here, not do anything different. And I think, with Joss Buttler not keeping, that could be, something that they may look to do in the games during the World Cup, but that would have been out by a mile. But this is very simple game plan for England, really. They've got to look to bowl their best deliveries, bowl back of a length, to get 268 and with 13 required already, it seems like an impossible task.
Final ball of Sam Curran's first over. This is the 5th over of the game. Shafane Rutherford on strike. Well, did Shafane Rutherford want to go to the leg side? It doesn't matter because it's gone between deep mid-wicket and long off for 6. I'm not sure he intended it to go there, Jared, but either way, it's gone for 6. West Indies end the 5th over 74 for 3. Shafane Rutherford is 11 not out. Shai Hope is 12. John Norman is back in situ, and this is game on.
Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, you look at his body position. He was trying to go over long on. and he's hit that almost over extra cover for 6. I've seen people hit the ball over point when they're trying to hit it to the leg side, but it just shows the power that these guys are going with at the moment, and they're just trying to hit everything for 6. And sometimes you hit a 6 in not where you're trying to aim Harmy, but I don't think I've ever seen anyone quite hit one over extra cover when they're going over long on before.
No, if you swing hard enough, you've got a good chance and get a good piece of it, and that's what's been happening for the last 2.5 hours. It's been amazing, some unbelievable. I'm looking at the scorecard and thinking, somebody's playing tricks with the graphics there, John Norman, because I've not seen any. I can't remember seeing a game of cricket, especially T20 cricket, with numbers like this.
Well, West Indies are actually ahead of where England were at the 5-over stage, but they of course have lost 3 wickets. It was back-to-back century opening partnerships for England. 117 between Buttler and Phil Salt today. It was 115 between Buttler and Phil Salt on Saturday. And Phil Salt ended up 109 not out on Saturday, 119 today. He's going to wish this was a 10-match T20 series. Wokes is in, and this is a beautiful shot from Shai Hope. It's a cover drive. He lofts the ball over the fielder inside the circle. No one out there. Once he manages to do that successfully, that's his 4, but that's a beautiful shot.
Yeah, beautiful looking shot. Chris Wokes, he's bowled a ball which is back of a length, probably going to go just over the top of off stump. Not much room, didn't cramp him for room, but it was a beautiful shot. He didn't quite time it, just needed to get over the 30-yard circle.
Yeah, it was a good looking shot. It was a little bit toe end on the bat actually, as he goes on the pawl, loses his body shape, and this is pouched behind the stumps by Jos Buttler. Hope's frustrated with himself. He's got to go for 16. Phil Salt with the catch, of course. Jos Buttler isn't behind the stumps today, and that's a 4th one down for the West Indies.
Yeah, a bit we were saying, hit the pitch. If you hit the pitch, there is something there, and that there was hit the pitch. It was a little bit more cross seam. It wasn't bowled upright. The ball before was bowled upright, and that's hit the splice of the bat. It seemed to nip back and cramp the 50-over captain Shai Hope for some room. He's at 2 4s, 1 6, and he's had to depart for 16 off 8 balls. And the number is still there for the West Indies, but unfortunately, they've probably got one. What have they got? They've got Powell coming in, then Russell, then Holder, and you're thinking it's left to them. So they're up with a run rate, but unfortunately, they're losing wickets far too frequently for the West Indies liking.
I'm going to make a prediction here, guys, which will not surprise you. I don't think anybody's going to disagree, or maybe you will. I think the West Indies might be bowled out inside their 20, because they're not going to die wandering, are they?
Might be 15.
Well, I said it looked like the sort of game they could get bowled out in 8, right? Because they're just going so hard. There might be a slowdown later on, but they've clearly decided that the only way to get there is to hit every single ball for 6, and they've hit a few of them.
Take a look at the scorecard. Remember when West Indies played New Zealand in 2015 World Cup? Martin Guptill hit the fastest double century, I think. Or anyway, New Zealand must have posted 350. And West Indies, in reply, I think they were bowled out inside 30 overs or something. 250
from 30.3. And I'm trying to remember who it was. It was ever 61 off 33 for Gale.
Wokes. Powell will get off the mark. I think he got bad on this. Either way, he's helping around the corner for 4. 82 for 4.
But in the middle of that, Jonathan Carter and Lyndon Simmons still went at strike rates of 70 and 80. But everyone else, had an absolute red-hot go in that one.
Essentially what Chris Wokes has realised very quickly, as did the England bowlers, was just, get it into the middle of the pitch. As you said, Jared, don't bowl it full, don't put it in the slot, just bowl it into the pitch, and these guys would get themselves out. That's what Hope did. Tip and run this time from Powell. There wasn't any bat on that 4-leg buys from the final delivery, so he's off the mark.
I don't think there's any reason of bowling length. Right?
No, none whatsoever.
And so there was a half volley before. So what was Sam Curran thinking at that stage? I think he needs to be just slightly back of the length, obviously not as short as other bowlers because of the way he bowls, and then say, if you guys want to hit these, you're either going to have to hit on the up straight drives like Shai Hope did before, or you're going to have to slog. And if they slog, We've seen about 3 wickets just from out and out slogs so far. They're going to hit a couple of sixes. I'm not saying that's not going to happen. And if I'm Josh Butler, who's not wicket keeping in this game and is talking to his bowlers, that's all I'm saying is just be patient. They're going to get themselves out.
Hit the pitch with no room. Don't give them any room. Hit the surface. Try and hit the sort of inside of the batter's hip. Left-hander Rutherford's on strike, so try and hit the inside of his left hip. If it's obviously the right-hander, try and hit the inside of the right hip. Give them no room whatsoever and make them make a mistake.
Rutherford, who picked up an IPL deal today, and he has just bludgeoned this through mid-wicket for 4. 15 from 4. 10 overs of Rutherford, and maybe West Indies will come close.
Yeah, Rutherford with the ball is Rutherford's come out and done exactly the same with the bat. He's bowled and fetched a few boundaries, and he's batting now is dealing in boundaries. And again, there the pitch lengthwise not a problem with, but it's just a bit too wide. You're giving a chance to the batter to get his hands free. The minute you give a batter a chance to get his hands free, well, in the modern game, it's going rows back.
Here is Wokes again. Rutherford moves away to the leg side, and Wokes with a short delivery. I'm not sure if he followed the batter or whether he was always aiming for, I suppose that would have been the helmet if Rutherford hadn't have moved to the leg side. Either way, a little bit of bounce, and Rutherford's in no place to play a shot. So, dot ball to finish up, but the power play, West Indies chasing an eye-watering 268. I mean that's a typical ODI score from the 90s, isn't it?
The West Indies have got 19 more than England in the power play. England was 68 for none off 6, and so when you look at that, and you're thinking how well England played not only the seam, but they played spin as well. But I don't think some of the bowling changes were great either when Rutherford actually came on to bowl, and I thought that changed the complex of that first innings. The minute he came on to bowl, which I think was in the 11th over, his 1 over went for 23, really sort of lit everything for England to go, and England are now going to bring on Rian Ahmed.
The run rate's actually gone down. It's under 13. On Saturday, West Indies were 81 for 3 after 10. Rian Ahmed is in, and it's a half tracker. Rutherford, or rather Powell's gone for it. He's trying to smash this over long on, possibly mid-wicket, leading edge, and the fielders on the boundary cover can't run in fast enough to take what would have been a simple catch.
Yeah, short ball from Rian Ahmed. Rothman Powell stand there going, where can I hit this? Can I hit this on the offside? Can I hit this on the leg side? He literally had to wait for ages for that ball to come to him, and then in the end he's trying to hit it too hard and spliced it straight up in the air, and fortunate to get away with it.
Yeah, landed between 3 fielders. It goes again. This time it's Rutherford, and he will pick up a 1 bounce 4, and he's split another couple of fielders who were interested. Certainly Long On was interested for 5 or 6 seconds, but two half trackers essentially for Ahmed.
2 drags downs. He bowls like this, does Rian Ahmed. Adil Rashid bowls a lot like this, especially in Asia. Bowl it into the pitch, get them to hit it into the side of the width of the ground.
Rutherford again, he goes big again, and he might get away with this. He does. Gets it past Adil Rashid, who's inside the circle on the leg side, behind square, and that's another boundary.
And again, another short ball. Rutherford's not really in control of this. He's trying to hit this a lot squarer and a lot harder, and he's getting an under edge on it. Fortunate to run past Adil Rashid.
On the reverse this time, and this has somehow deflected over the right shoulder of Phil Salt and runs away to the boundary. Runs given.
I think it's hit his forearm. I don't think this is hit. I don't think it's hit Rutherford's bat. I think it's gone off his forearm. Or has he top edged that? I'm not sure. It looked as though it hit his forearm. I think second grand.
It almost feels like it might not have hit anything.
And just spun and bounced.
Over the wicket and forward is Rutherford. Clips this away. There's certainly 1. He's interested in 2, but nothing there. Salt has to do well actually to field that. Wasn't particularly Accurate throw.
So Rutherford, obviously a left-hander and is good against leg spinners, but a strike rate of 145 normally. What we're seeing at the moment is kind of everything at spinal tap up to 11.
Last ball of the over, and it's played sensibly for the first time in what seems like an age. Powell moves to 3. He's kind of got the look on his face that only a cricket captain can have.
Yes.
When your side's given up over 250 in a T20.
Yeah, he does look as though he's a man with a... He looked like Joss Buttler for the last few weeks, but part of me wants Joss Buttler not to spoil this game, because I think Joss Buttler can spoil this game by bringing Adil Rashid into it. I think Adil Rashid comes on, his experience, the way he goes about his job, I think he changes this game. But I really don't want him to do it, because I'm quite enjoying what's happening at this minute in time.
There's a part of Adil Rashid that's like, do I have to?
Do I have to as well, yeah.
Here he is.
Here he is. No side has come from 2-0 down in a 5-match T20 series and won 3-2. Now, there aren't that many 5-match T20 series, but still that is quite surprising. I mean, not that it's happened yet. Rashid then, and his power to face. Slip in place. This is on-off stump. Leg break, I think. Not much movement. Powell is forward, takes a single. 100 up inside 8 overs, and West Indies have got a 2% chance of winning.
2% chance of winning. Hopefully the T20 team can do what the Test team didn't do in the summer, come back from 2-0 down. But if England do win this one, and you'd think they would, it'd be very difficult to stop them in that last game.
I hate the momentum word. It's going to be bandied around. Steps away, Rutherford. And no timing in this attempted cut shot. And no run either.
Spin's not easy here, boys. Bang, bang.
Bang, bang, says Phil Salt behind the stumps in place of Joss Buttler, who fancies a break. As Rutherford goes on the reverse sweep. This is fired down the offside. Topley were filled at 3rd, and it's 2 runs to the score. Rutherford, for the second time in about 4 balls on the reverse sweep, fails to get anything on the delivery, but picks up runs for his side.
Yeah, Phil Salt just enjoyed watching Adil Rashid bowl the googly and bamboozle Rutherford, because he made absolutely no attempt whatsoever to try and stop that ball.
This is the 55th 5-match T20 series. Rashid in. Rutherford's gone for it. Has he got enough on it? Well, he hasn't, and that probably saves him. Brook running around from long on. One bounce, Fields throws it back, just a single. And Rashid's doing Rashid things.
Yeah, good from Adil Rashid, not giving the batter any width at all to get their arms free. Rutherford there managed to get it. Placement was very, very good. Just couldn't quite get underneath it to get the power to get it over the infield, get it over the boundary.
106 for 4 Windies. The captain, Powell, is beaten and is out. Rashid takes off stump. The Windies now have lost half their wickets, and the skipper's got to go. 106 for 5 West Indies.
Well, Phil Salt didn't pick the googly, and neither did Rutherford about 2 balls ago. And Rothman Powell has left a gate for the London bus to go in through sideways, and he hasn't picked the googly either. That's an absolute beauty from Adil Rashid. It's pitched just outside off stump, and it's hit the top of off stump with a gap between bat and pad. Rothman Powell, which was absolutely massive. He's gone for 4. West Indies 106 for 5, and I feel like I did before this over, disappointed in Joss Buttler because he spoiled the game by bringing Rashid on.
Well, you say that, but Andre Russell's just walking to the crease. So come on. I mean, that says a lot, doesn't it? That's how entertaining this game is, that you're a bit disappointed as the big man strides out.
Yeah, this is going to be one monumental effort by Andre Russell to get anywhere near, especially with a bowler the calibre of Adil Rashid. This is where the opposition captain should be able to talk about substitutes in a game. he should be able to substitute one of the opposition players off to make the game a bit fairer.
The T20 World Cup, it just reminds me of the Cricket World Cup that we've just had, where a team would be out and then they'd be trying to protect their net run rate for about 20 overs. And it's so much more entertaining when there's no such thing as net run rate.
100% agree.
Let's just get points, and if you're beating a team and you've got the same points, the winning team goes through.
I'm the same. All cricket should be like that. Championship cricket as well. 4-day cricket, 3 points for a win.
Russell facing up, and wow, there you could pick up the sound of the applause. A perfect forward defensive
Best shot of the match.
I hope that makes the highlights reel. Dot ball, end of a great over for Rashid. He's picked up the wicket of Rovman Powell, who has had a pretty tasty campaign so far, hasn't he? Rovman Powell, 39 in the third T20, 50 in the second, and was there unbeaten with 31. Saw his side home in the first T20. So that's a big wicket for England to get, even though they are so heavily in front of this match. But do you think that Rutherford and Russell think that they've lost yet?
No, they can't think they've lost yet, but they're going to have to come up with a plan between them in the next 4.5 minutes to work out how they're going to get 3 overs from Rashid to go for 50.
I kind of think I know how they're going to go about it. Rutherford has just got a little bit lucky. He's clothed a pull shot to mid-wicket. The fielder has run in. Curran it is. And he's full-length dive for the ball. And the ball has just squirted underneath and hit the body. And Rutherford comes back for a second. Actually, he got a little bit closer to that than I thought.
Yeah, he did. I think he's just gone down the wrong line. He's gone down the wrong line. The last minute, I'm going to sort of stick up for Sam here. He's literally ran in as fast as he possibly could to get to the ball. And then when he's got his head up, he's realised he's on the wrong line.
Well, I tell you what, I hope that you've got your DAB radio on loud, because of all the sixes that have been hit today, that one has sounded sweeter than any other, and it has flown off the bat of Andre Russell into mid-wicket and into the fans in the bleachers.
Long line about that one. That was straight out of the middle of the bat, and that's gone miles.
This time he goes offside. Beautiful cut shot. Really has drilled that. There's Robin Smith for you, but there's a fielder out there, so it's just a single.
Yeah, power from Andre Russell, and Rian Ahmed will be saying, this is how I'm trying to bowl. Trying to bowl it into the surface. Yes, he got one away, he got the 6, but the two singles that he's had in the over, Rian Ahmed will say, I've got them where I've bowled that where I wanted to, so you've got to be happy.
Down the leg side, and Rutherford goes towards the leg side. And has he cleared the boundary? Yes, he has. 36 for Rutherford from just 14 deliveries. And the Windies are continuing to press T for turbo, 120 for 5. And we haven't even had 9 overs.
That's a great shot. That is a fantastic shot by Rutherford. Googly again, gone on the sweep. Pitched probably just outside leg stump, and at the point of contact would have gone on to around about middle stump. Beautiful shot there by Rutherford.
On the reverse, and he's hit in front, and the finger goes up in the commentary box from Harmison. The umpire agrees. Rutherford will review, but that looked bang on straight.
Yeah, that looked very, very straight. The only thing I can think of, because Rian Ahmed bowls a lot of googlies and a lot of top spinners, wrong ones, whichever way you want to look at it. It was that short. Has it pitched in line? Has this pitched in line? That's the only thing that can save Rutherford. Oh, hold on. I don't think he's made the. Have they gone for the review?
Yeah,
he said he reviewed it.
Yeah,
and I think the umpires didn't see it.
Yeah, I think that's what the conversation was there. I think Gregory Bradford was saying, did you review it? Because I don't think you did.
It seemed to me that he reviewed. I thought he reviewed.
It's high though. I mean, it should hit the stumps, but it is going to hit the top of the stumps, isn't it?
That was my initial thought, that if there's anything going, it was the height. But I also thought it was out.
Yeah, straight away it just looked out. It was like the one in the first innings. Jack just looked out. I think it's definitely pitched in line.
Please. Ball jockey coming up. Pitch it in line. In parking line. Wickets hitting. Can we go back to Patrick on field? Patrick would ask you to stay with your out decision. You're on screen now, signal.
Well, if that Hawkeye is to be believed, and there's no reason why it shouldn't, the ball's actually on the downward curve.
It was on its way down. Yeah. It was that short. It was on its way back down.
I would just say Shafane Rutherford, it was a very entertaining innings, but put away the reverse because he tried it 3 times and I don't think he connected with one of them.
No, to be fair, in the 15 balls that he faced were all against spin. I don't think he's picked one of them. So then go on the sweep, but go on the conventional sweep because you've got more chance of control of it. The reverse, you're right. Phil Salt missed one because he didn't pick it either, and then he fresh aired another one, and he's been LBW all end up on a third one. So I think in the meeting afterwards it will be great shots, great execution, but the dot balls you've had in this game so far, you've missed all 3 on the reverse sweep. It might be worth putting that one away.
Right then. Who's it next?
Jason Holder walks out.
Right then, Jason Holder. 1 ball left of Rayan Ahmed's second over. He's gone for 29. He's picked up the wicket, and Holder goes big. He targets mid-wicket, and Rayan Ahmed has picked up 2 wickets in 2 balls.
Yeah, big shot from Jason Holder. He has to. That's the run rate. 13.5 is the run rate. He got, what did he get? 18 off 7 balls in the last game. 18 off 5 balls in the last game. Some great striking, but unfortunately, Ahmed's googly again just sits in the surface, and Jason Holder has gone to the biggest part of the ground. He's a big man, Jason Holder. Now he's just over 2 meters tall. And he hasn't quite timed it perfectly, and he needed to. The dimension of the ground in the corners are massive, and unfortunately for the former Test captain, he's holed out to Will Jackson. It's been an eventful time for Rayan Ahmed, but he's got 2 for 29 off his 2.
Well, they got past 8 overs. I mean, this is it's remarkable. One thing I would say about the West Indies is, and this has been the case since really 2010 onwards, when they decide on a theory, their players fully commit. There's no
It's an art form.
Yeah, there's no Steve Smith or Dawid Malan out there. Do you know what I mean? This is no. Even Shai Hope's like, I'm going to slog.
Rashid is in. Remember him? And Andre Russell gets off strike, pushing the ball into the offside. Akil Hussain, I mean, he and Romario Shepherd put on quite an innings between them. West Indies lost a T20 against England at the start of last year in Bridgetown by 1 run, but they shouldn't have. They shouldn't have
50
come
off the
close.
last two overs, wasn't it?
It was
ridiculous. I was in the ground. The ball just kept bouncing off the scoreboard.
So look, I just think the fun and games are going to continue.
Why not? Like you mentioned, though, Jared, that this is the beauty about the West Indies.
Hussain, at first ball, has not read this delivery from Rashid. He's missed it, but so I think it's come off the pad actually. It's gone past Phil Salt. Yeah, it's just deflected off the top of the pad. It's then deflected off the top of Phil Salt's gloves, then gone through his legs and is fielded by first slip.
Not sure it went through.
Oh, really? I thought I nutmegged him.
Clips him on the way.
Yeah. A single taken, by the way, just in case you're following this and you're scoring as
the
you
game's
go.
just calmed down a second. We've had a dot ball and a single. But we joke and we talk about West Indies cricket sometimes being a shambles and them not being at world tournaments. And when they're not at the world tournament, the tournament's not the same for me.
Haven't had a 6 for 5 balls. Cut shot from Russell, fielded by Jacks at deep square, and we just got a little bit of a pause and a bit of a hush around the ground for the first. So even the DJs started to unpack and unplug his kit.
Romario Shepherd just sitting in the dugout there going, I reckon I can still get home.
Steps away, does Hussein. It's fielded, there's a chance for a run out at the striker's end, but Hussein is sent back. 123 for 7, and we've got one ball left of the 10th, and I've got a feeling this might be the last ball I commentate on. Today, that is.
Incredible that they're at over 2 runs a ball and they're so far off the required rate.
The target, if you're just joining us, 268. You have to get the video printer out. Extraordinary innings from England, and to be honest with you, this West Indies effort is even more baffling, as Akil Hussain has enough of just prodding the ball around. He's sat on the sidelines and watched his compatriots smash the ball around, mid-wicket being the favoured destination, and he just manages to pop this over a sprawling and diving Will Jacks to pick up another 6. So at the halfway stage, you know what? West Indies actually aren't that far off where they need to be. 129 runs to the good, but they've lost 7 wickets. And after a word from Steve Harmison, it'll be Michelle St Patrick Hewitt.
Yeah, England have got exactly what they wanted, which was the 7 wickets. They knew exactly how the West Indies were going to come out, going to go. Yeah, every ball is a free hit, and Rashid comes on. We knew what Rashid was going to be the one that would potentially change the game a little bit, pick up the wicket, slow the run rate down, and it's been some breathtaking hitting from the West Indies batters, but unfortunately when you're chasing a total of 268, you do it 1 down, you do it 2 down, or you unfortunately get 150 all out.
Yes, indeed, and the West Indies, for those still believing the West Indies can chase this down, they need 139 off the remaining 10 overs. Something similar to what I think England needed, funnily enough, in that 3rd T20. The difference is England had about 8 wickets. If not, no, in fact, they had all wickets in the locker when they needed something like that. So West Indies has been, it's been an eventful innings, but they are 129 for 7. They're determined to go down in a blaze of glory. This game looks like it's going to be over within the next 5 overs, but you just never know in this game of cricket. Monty Panesar, last time I spoke to you, you said West Indies could win this one. What are we saying now?
Well, I think what I'm saying now is in this game and the previous game, West Indies bowling is found wanting, and that's something that Darren Samby must address. He must quickly work out, why are we not doing so well, where are we getting it wrong, and then in the final T20 the West Indies bowling has to be a massive improvement, because if they keep going like this and not learn from their mistakes, it's not helping West Indies cricket. Just when we thought that we've seen the best of West Indies, once they go down a hole, they find it very difficult to come out quickly, and that's what they must do, because this could be a similar situation during the World Cup, and the next game they've got to brush up and get back to their best.
Rehan Ahmed's actually on the hat-trick here, and he may get, no, he's not going to get one there, because Andre Russell has just blasted him about 15 rows back, down past wide-ish deep extra cover, I should say, and Andre Russell is determined to go out in a blaze of 6s and 4s, more than likely.
Yeah, just what the doctor ordered. First ball, 6.
And he goes after this one. Cut through the point fielder. It's dummied him. It's 4 runs.
Legitimately through the point fielder. He barely moved.
It was Josh Butler, no less.
The power. There was a couple of times before he was hitting that cut shot, and deep point barely. That's just gone straight through Butler. Just the power of that shot. Look at the power fade that it's had as it spun off. Incredible. He's hit so many hard cut shots today.
So 6 and 4 off the first 2 balls of Rehan Ahmed's 3rd over. This time Russell with the off drive down 2 long off for 1 run. 11 off 3. Andre Russell moves to 20. off 8. West Indies need 120. Those with the abacus. West Indies need 128 runs from the remaining 57 balls.
Abacus would be on fire at this point.
Yeah, so Monty, you were saying about the West Indies bowling woes, and you are of course correct, but it's hard to see how they immediately fix it, given Alzari Joseph obviously is not going to be around for the last 2 T20s. I mean, we'll come to this at the end of the over. There's O'Shane Thomas. Romaro Shepherd has been injured since the first game. You'd like to think that he might come back into the side, but we've seen a glimpse of England power. Maybe that's the issue. Anyways, Rehan Ahmed into Akil Hussain, tucks that off his legs, and will run through 4-1, fielded that fine leg.
Yeah, look, I think it's been Akil Hussain. You know, I think they've worked him out how to attack him, how to play him. And the West Indies, they look to get early wickets from him in the power play, which that's not been happening in the last 2 T20 games.
Another single there. Russell drives that down to long off for 1 more.
And they've got to quickly work out, do we get a spinner to bowl into the power play, or do we change that up? Do we bring the seamers in? And that's something that, you know, as their coaching group, as, you know, the senior players in their team, you know, they've got wealth of experience in T20 cricket. You know, they've got to sit down and address these issues.
Final ball of the over, and it goes all the way through Akil Hussain. Akil Hussain was trying to blast it out the ground, but goes through to Phil Salt, and there'll be a dot there, and that is the end of Rehan Ahmed's 3rd over. 13 came off it. West Indies are actually level pegging with the rate required, but only 3 wickets remain in their innings. They need 126 runs off the remaining 54 balls. It's just pure scoreboard pressure has led to a few ill-judged big shots. It almost feels like this has been a free hit. But that's how the West Indies have approached it. We're not going to chase 268s. Let's just see how many big shots we can hit in chasing it, because it hasn't looked like a structured approach to chasing 268. Adil Rashid back into the attack.
Yeah, it's not very often you're going to have a structured approach, you know, chasing 250, possibly 200. That's an easier, more realistic target to achieve. But here Adil Rashid is bowling beautifully. You know, he's giving it air, he's mixing up his pace.
This one he goes wide. Russell gives it the big old heave-ho, but it spins away from Russell, and Moeen Ali has to run back to cut that off before it goes down to the 3rd man boundary, and Russell will run for 2.
Yeah, he's bowled it wider here and slower. Now the reason being is so the ball is away from his eye line, and then also he's got to generate the pace to hit it for 6. And with the context of the game, they know that they need boundaries. This is very smart bowling from Rashid.
This one goes the other way, down the leg side. If the other one was smart, this one wasn't smart. Loses, it's almost like he lost his grip on the ball almost. He drags it down the leg side, and it goes for 4 byes.
Yeah.
5 of it.
Well, I think they may have to reconsider Phil Salt being the keeper.
He's not had a good day, has he? I mean, it's funny, the amount of times we've heard him like exclaim, but there was one before he said, yeah, my fault. He's had a couple of errors here. But to be fair, they've bowled some random deliveries at him as well.
Would a good keeper have taken that? Russell whips that to the leg side for 1.
It's slow enough that a really good keeper would have had their feet outside leg stump, and it would have been closer to their eye line. You don't want to be in a situation when your hands are trying to reach out, and at that pace, like if Monty's bowling and it's a little bit quicker, it's harder for the bowler, the wicketkeeper, to get down there. But that was like 75 kilometres an hour. You should be able to get your body outside the line. But it wasn't wrong as well. Like it wasn't easy.
But he was nowhere near it.
No.
So, anyway, it's Adil Rashid, 3rd ball of the over. Akil Hussain is not able to beat Josh Buttler. Extra cover, there's no run.
I should say the analysts are famously unfair on wicketkeepers. As Nathan Lehman said to me one time, they've got gloves on, they shouldn't miss anything.
This one's loopy. Akil Hussain can only Level down to Harry Brook at long on.
That was Craig Brathwaite's speed, 67 kilometres, 67.8. Let's give him the extra 0.8 kilometres an hour. That looked like it was going to be waist-high full toss. It almost stopped before it got to him.
Dipped right at the last minute. That brings Andre Russell back onto strike. And he just glances that off his thigh pad for 1. That brings an end to Adil Rashid's. Oh no, sorry, there was a wide earlier. It's not an end to the over. 2 wides, in fact.
Yeah, this has been good bowling from Rashid, hasn't it? And sometimes I feel like he doesn't get enough credit for what he's done for English cricket. And, we don't really see him much in the IPL either, compared to some of the West Indian power hitters.
Akil Hussain tries to take that one on. It's an on-drive. And is actually excellent fielding by Harry Brook at long on, and Akil can only come back for 2. He thought he'd got enough for a boundary, and that brings an end to Adil Rashid's 3rd over. 13 off it in the end, actually, so quite expensive given that wide. Ooh, well, that previous ball that went for a dot actually shaved. They're now showing that it shaved the stumps but did not dislodge the bails.
Yeah, that's the question I wanted to ask you. Why are the West India power hitters a valuable commodity in T20 franchise cricket?
Because they hit sixes at like a rate of 20 to 30% more than anyone else. It's really about that. And there's a lot of other things you can replicate. You can find a lot of people around the world who can run between wickets well and everything else. But it really is that ability to clear the rope. So if you have, even if when West Indies are worse, if you can find 2 guys in that side that will be able to do that, you can lift them in at any stage and have a go.
And is that one of the reasons why Phil Salt, he's in the form of his life, but didn't get picked up in the IPL? But the West Indies power hitters like Rutherford, Shane Hope, and all the Powell. Is that what you?
No, I think
comes
that's
down to.
I think that's more to do with the fact they don't think Phil Salt can bat in the middle order. All those guys you just said are probably going to bat 4, 5, and 6. So I think generally that's one reason there's been so many West Indians is most other countries produce openers, but look at Pollard and Russell and Dwayne Bravo and all those sorts of guys, Carlos Brathwaite, who are much better at hitting 5, 6, 7, and 8. So I do think there's just a lot of openers. You're always better off to be a middle order player.
13th over of the game, Sam Curran to bowl it, which is his 2nd over of the match. In his first spell, first over, he got a wicket off the first ball. Hasn't really needed Sam Curran today, given the state of the match, but West Indies may well take this to the 20th over. He may well bowl out his allocation. Earlier on I mentioned that a ball had shaved the outside of a stump and did not dislodge the bell. That was actually in Rehan Ahmed's previous over, not Adil Rashid's. Sorry, Monty.
Yeah, it's. I think the combination of having Rehan Ahmed and Adil Rashid will be interesting to see. You can see the contrast in the experience and with Rehan Ahmed, and that's something he will learn.
Curran to Hussain. Hussain will he beat the fielder? Well, that's brilliant fielding, but it's Harry Brook down there again. This time at long off, and he gets the fingers to it, but he's only able to parry that further along before it finally hits the boundary rope for 4.
Yeah, that went off like a tracer bullet. Beautiful batting, and he bisects the field there. This is power hitting from the left arm spinner.
So, interesting story about Akil Hussain, which see if I've got enough time to tell this before the next ball. I don't. Sam Curran in again. This time Akil Hussain tries to pick up the ball and is unable to do so. Adil Rashid, was it Adil Rashid? I'll have to look again. Was Adil Rashid running in?
I think it was Moeen Ali.
Was it Moeen Ali?
I'm not sure.
Moeen Ali running in from wideish long.
Yeah, it's sort of like the cow corner position, isn't it? Yeah, Moeen Ali comes in there. Just rolled his fingers on that one, didn't he, as much as anything. Sam Curran, it was wide, he pulled it across his body and found the fielder. Good hitting from him again. We've seen it quite a few times, but probably the job beyond him when he came out.
Yeah, slightly. So yeah, Keel not able to get enough on that. Had to really reach for it and kind of drag it, and all he can do is find Moeen Ali at Cow, and that's the next wicket to fall. Now Matthew Ford comes in at the fall of the 8th wicket. He can actually hit the ball as well, but given it's...
Moti can bat as well.
Yeah, Moti can actually hit the ball as well, but given the state of the match, it's asking a lot of Matthew Ford and eventually Gudakesh Moti. Obviously Andre Russell is still at the crease, 23 of 13, but it's asking an awful lot to try and chase this down.
Yeah, a mammoth task from here. But earlier when we were talking about, how West Indies can improve their bowling, and I think that's something that they've got to look into. Like if England get off a really good flyer in the final T20 game, do they go into getting wickets? Do they bowl defensively? They've got to get, into changing their plans earlier.
And Matthew Ford meets the first ball with a non-drive there, or off drive even, and he's able to come back for 2. Very interesting to see what you two make of Matthew Ford as a batter. I think he's actually a very correct, if that's the right phrase, a very correct batter. Has the right form to suggest he knows how to bat, but we shall see.
I mean, that was a full toss, but he certainly, lined up pretty well against that and punched it to mid-off. Although, considering the way they've been batting, he should have slogged that over mid-wicket.
And this time he tries to tuck it fine. Russell calls him for a quick one. Gully fielder has a shy at it, which I think was Adil Rashid there at Gully.
I don't think Russell called that. It should have been Russell's call. You made the correct cricket call, but looking at Andre Russell as he turned around, and I think Ford...
No, it had to be Russell because Ford stopped immediately.
No. I think Russell thought there wasn't a run there, and Ford took off. That was a proper tail ender. Played a good shot, didn't he? So he thought, there must be a run there. Did you see my shot? I played it really well.
Exactly. We're all tail enders. We've got to make a fuss about a good shot.
Well, he only stepped to you. Anyway, Sam Curran into Andre Russell, who's back on strike. And that may well... No, he does get enough. In fact, they're going to have to look at that one. I think Moeen Ali has done well enough there at third man, or deep third man, to cut off the boundary. It's almost like an uppercut shot there from Andre Russell. They may want to look at it. They are indeed having a look at it. It's one bounce. Now, Moeen had to go over... In fact, it's brilliant. It's fine, more than fine. Moeen's able to pat that, literally pat it back into, or keep it in play, I should say, before going over the boundary rope, and that will only... And they only ran 1. They did not even run 2, but that keeps Andre Russell on the strike.
Still there, 13 overs. You might have to hand back to John.
I did think this game would be over by the 15th, but it's just as well that everybody is watching us on YouTube and listening in on TalkSport 2, because West Indies are determined to take this down to the end. They need 104 from 42 balls. England will bring back Reece Topley into the attack as they look to finish this game off. West Indies 164 for 8.
I mean, 104 from 42 on this pitch. If they were even 5 wickets down.
Yeah, I was going to say, with 5, they'd have a chance. This one is on Andre Russell's legs, and he's just able to tuck that into the mid-wicket region for 4. Backwards of square. It's a bad ball from Reece Topley, and he gets the treatment from Andre Russell. He didn't even have to really create a shot, just got back to ball, and that was enough.
Yeah, just good batting there. I think that's one thing that we probably don't talk about enough with Andre Russell, which he still has really high level, just normal batting skills. That reminded me of the Harry Brook 4 off him, in fact, in the last game, where you're trying to hit it for 6, but you'll just take the 4.
Topley, and again, this one goes wider on the offside and just cut off at deep point for 1. Brings Matthew Ford back onto strike. The West Indies run chase is under 100. They need 99 from 40 balls. Monty Panesar, dare you believe? Well, I don't know why I said that, like you want West Indies to win.
Yeah, well, I think they've got to at least try and get to the 200 if they can. But to win from here is a impossible task. But I think generally they've got to think in the last 2 games, where have we got it wrong? Why have England performed so well with the bat? And these are the sort of questions that they'll be looking for answers. But England, they've really found their form after having a drought.
Well, I earlier on I claimed Matthew Ford can bat, but he tries to back away to leg stump to, I assume, play some kind of extravagant pull or sweep shot. Well, pull, reverse pull sweep. What was he trying to do, Jack? I don't know what he's trying to do, but he ended up on the ground.
I think it was a ramp.
Nothing.
Yeah, I think he thought it was going to be a full ball outside off stumps, so he tried to get outside of his stumps, but it looked like that's the first time he's ever played that shot.
He ended up in the press-up position.
Yeah.
So whatever he was attempting, it did not come off.
Judges, I don't know, 2s all round from even the Russian judge is not giving that a good mark.
Yeah, we tail enders, we think we can play every shot in the book. We can go wide of the crease, go deep of the crease.
We've seen a lot of extravagant shots today, but none of that one we haven't seen. Anyways, that one again, Topley goes for the wide outside of offline, and Matthew Ford can't get anything on that.
The thing is, he's been told to go out there and slog, and I think he, as you said before, he does actually, the 2 shots he played best were the normal straight drive and the back cut. Now he's trying to play every shot. He'd be much better off getting off strike and just giving Andre
just
Russell.
rotate strike.
Bat on ball, take the single, and get Andre Russell back on strike. I mean, they're not going to win anyway, but Andre Russell is at least a chance of hitting 8 sixes in a row. Matthew Ford is not.
Well, you never know. Let's see what he does now. Topley in again. This time Ford is out. Plays that straight to Josh Butler at extra cover, and Matthew Ford's brief stay at the crease is over after 3 interesting shots in a row. The third one ends with the wicket, and this game is slowly but surely coming to an end. The West Indies are 169 for 9. Reece Topley takes the wicket. Josh Butler, who we must remind you has not been wicket keeping today, takes the catch. Ford goes for 3. Andre Russell is still there on 29 off 16 balls.
Yeah, the big man is still there, but this was brilliant bowling from Reece Topley. He bowled a slower delivery, wide of the crease, and couldn't get on top of the bounce. And that's what makes him such a dangerous bowler, especially at the back end, where the batsmen tend to go after him. He gets that extra bounce than from what other seamers will get. And that's why I think, looking at these game options, especially with the World Cup coming up during the summer, I think Reece Topley is going to be a handful for this England team.
Yeah, I like Reece Topley a lot. I think he's a very clever bowler. I think obviously he often seems to get unfortunate injuries, but whenever he's available, I think he's exceptionally effective for England. And it's a weird series though, Monty, because we started this series after 2 games going, England are in disarray. Now the only team looking in disarray is the West Indies. So game 5 is going to be very, very interesting. Gudakesh Motie is on strike to Reece Topley, and he defends that first ball, and that brings an end to the 14th over. West Indies are 169 for 9. Topley is 2 for 27 from his 3 overs.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that. It's only two games ago. Everyone was talking about, English cricket is in massive turmoil. And now 2 games later, we're saying, West Indies cricket is in, trouble. So that's sport for you. Things can turn around very quickly. And it's about confidence, it's about form, it's about, reminding yourself how good you are. And I think that's what England have done. They've gone back to what they're good at, rather than trying to chase or trying to, doubt themselves. And, they started off really well in the power play. And then from there, they're able to build a good innings. And that's something that probably has been forgotten over the last sort of 6 months or so.
Adil Rashid back into the attack, and Andre Russell goes after him. It kind of to be expected, pulls it over deep mid-wicket for 6. I mean, there's nothing else left for Andre Russell to do at this stage. He may as well go after it and do what Jared Kimber said and try to hit 8 sixes in a row. He starts with 1. And West Indies move to 175 for 9.
Yeah, another 7 to go, and we never know. Then we're talking maybe a West Indies win.
West Indies lead the number of sixes in this series. Russell comes down the wicket. This is he tries what it looked like a slog. Lost his shape a bit. Doesn't take the run. So I think Andre Russell has told us now how this game is going to go. It's him on strike and nothing else. Gudakesh Melty might as well be commentating next to me because he's not going to see much of the ball before this game is over.
And this is where you can see, Adil Rashid, he always resorts back to bowling it wider, higher, away from Andre Russell's. The reason he does that is for a batsman, that makes it a lot more difficult to hit it for 6. And you're just hoping that you get the connection absolutely spot on. So I expect him to bowl it wider.
Well, we'll see. It is wider, this ball, and well, you can go wide to Andre Russell, and Andre Russell has the muscle power to clear the boundary all the same. He goes after it, fetches it, and deposits it over long on for 6.
Yeah, eventually, he's going to connect one if you're going to keep bowling the same delivery over again. And with the power that Andre Russell has, he will put that away into the stands, and he's got enough connection to that. And this is brilliant hitting. Now it'll be fascinating to see what will be the next 2 deliveries from Adil Rashid.
Will Russell try to rotate strike to keep himself back on for 16th over? Or is he determined to just go after it, be what may?
Well, what I would do is get him off strike, bowl a Yorker into his feet, bowl it quickly, a quick flipper, so he can't get underneath it and only get a single.
Might try that, and Russell will still try and get underneath it. We'll see anyways. It's wide. Russell goes for the cut. Moeen fields at point, and Russell does not take the single.
This is better bowling, isn't it? Quicker, bowling that flipper, and again, bowl the same delivery, a quick flipper into the pads, and they're obviously changing the field. He's getting everyone a lot more behind square, tighter. So you can see it's going to be a flat, quick delivery. He's communicating with Jos Buttler constantly. And that's the key, isn't it?
That's what a champion bowler does. Last ball of Adil Rashid's spell. Russell comes down the wicket and deflects it. Deflects it fine with his pad. I don't know what his intention was, but he gets a leg by of it.
I'm not sure. I want Harmy, who's about to come in, if they show this again, I think he might have come down to intentionally try not to hit the ball, get his pad on it. I think he came down the wicket just trying to get some pad on it and steal a single so he could get a strike at the other end.
I just think he's not picked it.
Well, I mean, that also definitely happened.
I think what he's done, Jared, is he's not picked it and he's used his huge frame.
I'm also okay with that.
In favour to try and somehow not get bowled. And yes, I think you are right. I think the end goal was to
just get off strike.
Kick it somewhere to get off strike.
If I get down the wicket, the wrong one won't bother me. It was good bowling by Adil Rashid there, actually, but it's the remarkable. We've seen some of the oddest cricket shots we will ever see. Matthew Ford, only played for about 5 balls and invented a couple.
If I'm on this microphone, I am. Yes. No, this is mine. I'm back. Everybody's surprised, including me. Thought that would be it. Just 2 wickets in the last 5 overs. His Topley is in. And Andre Russell continues to play the biggest and the baddest shots of the entire day.
Well, that was definitely the biggest. That's massive. Andre Russell is a big man with long levers, and he managed to get himself on strike for the first ball of this over, and that is in the slot. Perfectly in the slot. If Andre Russell was to say to Reece Topley, will you just put it there at about 78 mile an hour and let me hit it 108 metres? And he did hit it 100, I think it was, did I just see that right? 108 metres.
108 metres, Topley again. And he goes again, Russell. Flays this. And it's 4, misfilled by Harry Brook at long off. He got 2 hands to it and has just helped it along to the boundary. 50 up for Andre Russell in 24 deliveries. 76 needed from 28. If only they had 3 or 4 wickets left.
Well, if Andre Russell can face 28 balls, they might have a chance of winning the game. It was unlucky there by Harry Brook. He's let go of the ball. He's let go of the ball because he thinks he's going to collide with the rope. He thinks he's going to collide with the rope. He gets 2 hands to it. Oh no, he doesn't. His knee hits his elbow and it just drops out. I thought he was letting go of it because he thought he was going to roll on the rope.
Russell, 51 from 24, 192 for 9, West Indies. As Reece Topley, lift arm over the wicket is in, and this could well be the match. A top edge is taken by Brook, and Russell's innings and the West Indies comes to an end, and England have absolutely smashed them. They've beaten West Indies by 75 runs.
It's amazing. You look at the scoreboard and there's some weird things. You mentioned, Jared just mentioned before about weird shots, weird things happen in this game. There's some weird things happen in this series. Andre Russell when he bowled, I think in one of the games, went for 66 and was on the winning side in 4 overs. And the West Indies have scored 192 and got absolutely smashed and annihilated. Just shows you what this madness this series is. England won by 75 runs. Good bowling there by Reece Topley. It was in the slot, it was in the area that Russell had hit for 6 and 4 before, but because he just run his fingers across the seam, Russell didn't pick it, got it a little bit higher on the bat, and a good catch from Harry Brook running in. And this series now is set for an absolute humdinger of a finish. We've asked for a good series. We've asked for a big performance from England. And in the last 2 games, Phil Salt especially has blasted England back into the series, and hopefully from an English point of view, chance to win the series 3-2.
Well, it's come a little bit too late for the IPL draw.
Well, I'll be hoping for an injury.
Well, where do we start? Let's have a little look through the scorecard, and then we will record a following on. Essentially, England asked to bat first, and in helpful conditions it looked like. The covers had been on about half an hour before the start of play. There was a little bit of rain in and around. Both captains wanted to bowl first. It was Rodman Powell that had the opportunity to do exactly that, but for the second match in a row, England got off to a flyer. 117 from Butler and Salt for the first wicket before Butler miscued a drive down the ground and was caught for 55. But then the ridiculousness actually stepped up a notch. Will Jacks came in and hit 24 from just 9 deliveries. A partnership for the second wicket of 56 in less than 4 overs, and they didn't stop pressing the pedal for the entirety of the innings. Livingston unbeaten at the end, 54 from 21, and Phil Salt hit the highest score in English T20 history, eclipsing the record set by Alex Hales of 116. He was the third person out for 119 before Livingston and Brook smashed a couple more towards the back end of the innings. The bowling figures, well, we are after the watershed, so I can tell you some of them. Matthew Ford on debut, 0 for 54 from his 3, 55 from both Holder and Moties, 4 overs. West Indies went away from the tried and tested of using 5 bowlers. They used 7. Shafane Rutherford may never bowl again. 23 from his 1 over, and essentially West Indies were done. 268 the target after England had rattled up, but had notched their highest ever score in T20. Brandon King dismissed first ball, and essentially West Indies swung for 15.3 overs. They hit 1, 5, 6, 7, 8, 13, 14 sixes, but they never got close. Wickets all around the board for England. 1 apiece for Ali Wokes and Rashid, 2 apiece for Curran and Ahmed, and 3 for Reece Topley. A handsome win for England, They've beaten the West Indies by 75 runs, and in doing so, it means it's 2 apiece with 1 to play. Michelle, wow. You sit back, you watch West Indies win 2 games, and then you finally get a chance to commentate, and you've just seen West Indies fail to protect 222 and give up 267. Welcome to Talk Sport.
You know what? It's the ebb and flow of watching West Indies. Before this series started, I said to Harmy that I thought West Indies were favourites for this series, and after the first 2 games, I was waiting for Harmy to come in for the 4th game to laugh in his face. But going into the decider, I think England have found. I don't know how England have done it, but they seem to have found something that clicks. I still don't think England necessarily know what their best side is, particularly with the ball. But clearly West Indies have an issue with the ball, which is a deeper issue than England. And I think if any T20 side in any form of cricket, whether internationally, franchise, if you can't take wickets in the power play and you've got very ropey death bowling, you're probably gonna lose 9 times out of 10 unless the other side has an absolute stinker. And it's kind of been a perfect storm. As West Indies have struggled, England have found their own mojo. But I still think this is fundamentally 2 flawed sides, but England are certainly in a better shape than West Indies.
Have West Indies gone against the method that seemed to suit them quite well in the first 2 matches, especially with the bowling? I mean, they went with 5 bowlers in the first 2 matches, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, it was an aberration that giving up 223, that just shouldn't have happened, should it?
No, and I think if England win that final game, we'll go back to that 3rd one and say once West Indies couldn't defend 2-2-3 and England won, England got the momentum. I don't know where you all stand on the idea of momentum being massive in sport, but it's certainly, if you go back to the kind of pictures from that win, it meant a lot to Phil Salt and Harry Brook to chase that down. And in this 4th T20 today, you just sense that England had a bit about them. West Indies at no point had this game under control. And it's going to take an awful lot for them to turn it around. They can't call new players in, so they're going to have to hope that Romario Shepherd is fit. Can't believe I'm ever would get to this point in my life where that's where I'm at.
Here we are.
I think when you look at the way, for me, there's a big key factor here from a West Indies point of view if they wanted to win the series. And he's been expensive in this series, but he's took wickets, and that's Alzari Joseph. I think he would have got wickets on that surface. I think he would have bowled in an area where it wouldn't have been as easy for England to find the boundary at will as the way they did. And to not have him in a deciding game, that could be a huge loss. The fact that the West Indies have used 5 bowlers in the first 2 games, I think are largely down to the fact that they were fit, they were strong, and as the series is played over the course of every other day, the likes of Russell, who hasn't bowled a great deal in cricket, never mind in any format of cricket, to keep going back to the well every 2 days to bowl intense spells of 4 overs. I think that's catching up. I think also Holder is catching up. I think the fact that they didn't have that new ball bowler in the last couple of games, which I think has been massively evident because of Butler getting 50 in both games and Salt getting 100 in both games. I think that is something where England have capitalised on, and I also think England have found that formula at the top of the order, which gives them the base, the concrete base, to the likes of Livingston to come and play the way he has done in the last couple of games. So I think all in that, when you talk about momentum or the shift, and just look at little key areas that the West Indies have really struggled, possibly because they've had games in short space of times and their aging bodies are getting older, and England are sort of get their ducks in a row and find out which is the best formula to have.
Let's head out to the middle. Sam Ellars with the West Indies skipper Rodman Powell.
Yeah, pretty difficult. You know, it was an exhibition of 6 and an exhibition of pure power from the English guys. You know, but it was good to watch. You know, it's just unfortunate that it was against us.
Is there anything you can do though in that situation if you were to
to do it all again? Anything you could have done differently?
I think, to be honest, we could have done a few things differently. We didn't, for the second game in a row, we didn't go to our change-ups, to our cutters, to our yorkers, and for the second game in a row, that let us down.
And then with the bat, the intent was pretty simple, wasn't it? Was it as simple as from ball one, we're going to try and hit every ball for 6 if we're to get close to this?
Yeah, definitely. If you're going to get close to 260 in a T20 game, you have to go helter-skelter from ball 1 or ball 2. But having said that, the guys made a good attempt. If it was 230, I think we could have got it.
Does this now give your side a real challenge to show a little bit of character, to be 2 up, 2-2? Do you guys have to really regroup now and go again? And what would you look to say to your boys in the next couple of days?
Yeah, just proper execution. I think the energy today was pretty flat, but Thursday provides an opportunity for us to get it right.
And just for you on a personal level, an RPL contract today, that always must be a pretty proud moment for you, given the size of the competition. And you went for a few quid as well, didn't you?
Yeah, definitely. A lot of hard work have been put in behind closed doors. A lot of hard work put in international cricket, and it's good to see it's paying dividends now.
Yes, Sam Eller speaking with Rotherham Power, the West Indies captain, following their 75-run defeat against England. A defeat which has, it means they're set up absolutely beautifully. The one-day series, 1-1 going into that final match, and now the T20 series, 2 apiece going into the final game, which we were bringing you here on TalkSport 2 on Thursday night. We get underway at 5 p.m. and also on the TalkSport Cricket YouTube channel. We're getting a bit of clog in the chat box. There's some people not too happy at some of the commentary. They think that possibly we were celebrating the England win a little bit too much.
We could not have celebrated West Indies batting anymore. It was one of the most entertaining things we have ever seen.
Exactly. Thank you, Jared.
And I'm Australian, so I take great offence at that.
You must have dual nationality.
No, just Australian.
Let's not talk about that.
Yeah, and also I'm not sure. Anyway, we'll talk to lawyers later.
Okay. Anyway, Phil Salt has been named the player of the match in darkness. For the second game in a row. How impressed have you been, by the way? He didn't have a day to remember behind the stumps. He was on keeping duty in place of Jos Buttler. But Michelle's talking about momentum. I'm not sure I believe in momentum, but I do believe in confidence. And Phil Salt today looked like a confident cricketer.
Yeah, he did. Form and confidence is huge when you're going in. You're seeing the ball the size of as what Phil Salt is when he's batting. Didn't quite see it when he was keeping, but I thought somebody might have done him a favour and took the gloves off him. Whether there was obviously a decision made right at the top, but having spent the time he did, I think that showed in his keeping. But 40, 25, 109, 119 so far in this series, I think that's a great return from somebody who was playing for his place in the World Cup, from somebody who probably had the sort of the pressure on the shoulders of getting into this 2020 team. Now Jason Roy and Alex Hales and all these big hitters of previous years and successful years have gone. I think for me he's really come of age in the last couple of games, and we said that during the 50 overs competition, and the job of needing a big strike rate in the power play, not bothered if you go on, has now turned into the all-round package that has got the big strike rate. He goes through the power play, and now he's learning how to go on. And for me, as a young player, you only have to do it once and you realise what it takes. This is my big bugbear about a lot of young bowlers learning how to get 5 wickets in first-class cricket when they go into test matches. Because if you learn how to get 4, 5, 6 and 7 wickets, I'm just speaking from a bowler's point of view, then when it comes to the next time, it becomes easier and it becomes easier. And all of a sudden, Phil Salt has gone from 40 off 20 balls and talked about as somebody who has got a huge amount of potential with a great strike rate, short innings, to then go and getting 100 or 50, 109 or 56 balls, and then realising, wow, I can do this. I know how to do this. I know how to go from 40 to 60. I know how to go from 60 to 100. And he's done it again. And for me, that is brilliant. 2 highlights so far in this tour from a young player's point of view, because take Adil Rashid out of it because he's brilliant. But Rian Ahmed for me and Phil Salt in this series have really showed that the England selectors that their performance has gone that just one level above.
It's real nitpicking, but Jared, we're not going to see John Turner now, are we?
It does bother me a little bit. I know it's a silly thing, but we said at the start of the show, I don't know what their theory is. I don't think they've played the best side, and I don't think they've experimented that much. So I kind of feel a little bit, maybe awkward is wrong, but just like, what do they know exactly what they wanted to get out of this series? And maybe they came in wanting the best side, then they lost anyway, so they tried something else. But yeah, I don't know what John Turner looks like. He could be in this room right now, for all I know.
I know what he looks like because we had him on the Cricket Collective just before he went out. He's a lovely young man, little lad who speaks, very, very quietly, who's got huge potential when it comes to bowling. But to you, Jared, and the point you've just made there, do you think during the 3 ODIs and the first 2 T20s, where you've just described the England selection, do you think that's the way England have played as well up until these last 2 games?
You mean just Messi?
Just Messi, yeah. Just not knowing what they're trying to do, or not knowing what game plans they're trying to deck, not executing the plan because they're not sure, is this the right way to go?
I think Monty said it best, that like they didn't become a bad team. Like they went into the World Cup second favourite, right? And suddenly, obviously, they've lost all these games, and I understand all of that, but I don't see a lot wrong with the way they've been playing. It's more a combination of they had some weaknesses and they had some bad form, and this looked more like the England that we had always seen, right? And I know it's still there, and even during that World Cup, I was still sort of waiting for it to come together. And we talk about how many games does your team is Newcastle? How many games Newcastle play? 39 games a year?
38 games a season.
So they play 38 games. I follow the Denver Nuggets. They play 82 games. We go Major League Baseball. It's more again, right? We look at these little form dips as, this is the worst thing that's ever happened. But actually, a World Cup isn't that many games. There's nothing wrong with the way that England were going into it strategically before. It's just that none of their batters made any runs, right? Yeah. And sometimes that's the hardest thing when you're working with your cricket side. You would have done this before, where you look around the change room and you've got, I don't know, Divanuto and Chandra Paul and David Boone or whatever, and Durham's losing, and you're like, how are we not making any runs? Look at this lineup.
Yeah, I get that. And to go on and to follow on from your point and to pick up on what you've been saying in a way that the England's World Cup side went away from what their plan A was for 6.5, 7 years, when Milan went in to open the batting for 6 months. And now you look at the last 2 games, the way England have performed and the way England have played, you'd say, Jared, they've gone back to what makes them the great side, which is the power at the top, having somebody in the middle order that can hold the innings together, and then being explosive at the end. That's what England. So for me, it's not about the player, it's about the plan. And it's about the execution of the plan. And I think for 6 months before the World Cup, and then into that the 3 T20s, the 3 one-day series that's been here, I think the execution of the plan has completely changed to what made England the great side.
The minute Milan was not batting at number 4, which he should have been doing to replace Morgan if they wanted to follow their old template, I think you're right. And if you look at this, they have certainly gone back to what we think of as the best of English T20 cricket, right? And they're playing better cricket. Mash is about to come on and say that the West Indies are not very good.
No. I am about to throw a spanner in the works here, because when everybody comes to listen to Game 5 live and exclusive on TalkSport, when they do that, say West Indies win that game, does everything you two have just said become redundant if West Indies win that game? So I can have my West Indies perspective of what's gone on in this series, and if West Indies were to suddenly win, everyone's going to try and twist the narrative to, it's coming along nicely, Sammy's got a plan, so on and so forth. If England were to lose, are you going to tweak some of what you're saying?
Not for me, if the West Indies play better cricket than England. For me, at this minute in time, England have played the way they should be playing. And they started in the first game where you say the batting was nearly there. They got to the second game, and you could argue that they didn't have the plan that they had for games 3 and games 4. For me, the reason why England haven't performed in this series was largely down to the ball. But I want England to have the plan to bat the way they've batted in these 20 overs in the last 2 games, and stick to that game plan. The game plan it's not the player, it's the game plan. And if the game plan works, then England have got far too many good players to blow everybody away, because they've proven that recently. I just think when the confidence is not there, whether you say confidence, momentum or form, whatever, and whenever the second doubt that, then all of a sudden they don't become the dominant side that they should be. But West Indies play well, yeah. Hats off, the best team wins, and the best team did win them first 2 games.
I think if you look at the difference here, these are both flawed teams, as you know more than anyone, right? We know that England is flawed on the ball, so they have to make up for that with the bat. And what we've seen in the last 2 games is them going all out to that old style of, we're going to make 30 runs or 20% more than par. Good luck trying to make 20% more than par against us. We both know they could fail in the next game. They could be bowled out for 80, and we've seen England do that before. If you go back to the World Cup, they were going out chipping the ball around. They weren't putting any pressure back on anyone, right? You look at the way that Phil Salt and Josh Buttler have been bowling in this. They've put so much pressure back on West Indies. And even the other game when they was it the second game when they failed, at times they were putting pressure back on the West Indies again in that particular one. You look at that middle spell when Sam Curran came in and started hitting the ball back and Moeen Ali had to go. It's that putting that pressure back on, which is what has England at a period where this is what the other teams tell me: we can't score at their rate if they're going in 5th gear.
MV says, Mash, have we got any hope? Sa?
It's a way of saying sir.
Can the West Indies win the decider? No, there's a no. Peter Sumner says, excellent commentary, guys. Whilst Mash tries to work out how he does believe that West Indies can win. Let's hear from Phil Salt, who's with Sam Emery. Sam Emery is my friend. Sam Ellard, as is Sam Ellard.
Phil, another day, another 100, a second T20 International 100 in the space of a couple of days. How proud are you of another pretty incredible achievement, Phil?
Yeah, I'm very happy. Obviously I'm more happy that it contributed to a win. We're 2-0 down the series to pull it back to 2-2. I feel like we're really hitting our stride now, and it gives the boys a lot of confidence and momentum to take into the decider.
Talk me through your innings though. Did you feel $1 million after your innings the other day? Does it feel like the ball was looking like a beach ball? Did you feel in great touch right from the off after yesterday?
Probably not, to be honest. It was a little bit, the first ball that Ford bowled me hit the splice with my bat pretty hard. I thought, this wicket might be slightly different. But once myself and Josh got through that sort of tricky a couple of overs with a new ball, and it just sort of flattened out a little bit, and we realised that we could stick a good partnership on them.
I know you've gone on to convert to hundreds, but another day, another 50 for the captain. You put on 100 again for that first wicket partnership. They say strong Manchester original, strong England. How much are you enjoying that relationship with Joss at the top?
I think it's strong Lanc, strong England.
Well, both really, no? And Livy as well with Lancashire, fair enough.
You saw Livy today, so Lanky boys are doing it. Yeah, no, it's good batting with him. It's good playing with somebody familiar. I'm quite lucky in the ODIs. I've got Jaxie at the top, who I know well play with in South Africa, and I've got Joss, who I play with at Lancs and Manchester Originals and here. So it's a big advantage to have an opening partner who I know his game inside out, and vice versa, and it gives you a lot of stability.
You said to me in Barbados you feel as if you've got another couple of extra gears to go to as an England batsman. You feel like you've left a lot of runs out there in the last year or so. So how proud have you been, not just to get those good starts, but also really push on, especially in a time when there's a World Cup 6 months away?
Yeah, absolutely. I know that international cricket is not an easy ride when you first jump in, and there's a learning curve that you've got to respect, and I feel like I've done that. I've got my head down, I've worked hard, and I've really used the tools around me. So hopefully this can become more of a regular occurrence.
And the big question everybody's asking today on social media is, how on earth did Phil Salt not get an IPL contract?
It was a confusing morning, to say the least. That's all I'll say.
Were you following it?
I followed the last bit. Ducky had it up on his iPad, so we had a look at that. But it was good. A lot of our lads got picked up, which was good.
I know you just won a game of cricket for England, but were you disappointed today, or is it kind of just part and parcel of being franchise cricket? Sometimes you get picked, sometimes you don't.
It's part and parcel of it, with auctions and drafts and that sort of a process. It can be a lottery at times, and for some people it's worked out. I was talking to Riley Rousseau today. It's going to be a very good Christmas round his house. He's in the same
Next
boat.
time, beers are on him next time you see him, yeah?
Absolutely, I've told him that. But it's part and parcel of the lottery that it is.
And just finally, we know it's been a tough couple of months for the boys. You've executed your skills well, but the fight that you guys have shown is 2-2 going into the last game. How proud are you of all the fight you guys have shown after a tricky couple of months? There's a lot about the character of this team, right?
So proud. We've got bags of character in that dressing room. It's not been easy. Obviously been on the wrong end of a few results, and then the schedule, it's not as easy as it can look sometimes from the outside for this group to pull together in the way that we have. Now we've got a decider to look forward to in a couple of days' time. So, I take my hat off to the rest of the boys.
Sam Ellard with Phil Salt, the player of the match, who ended up with 119, the highest score in England's T20 history. And copyright to Matt Roller for that comment about a strong Manchester Originals, strong England. Guys, we're just about to wrap up here on TalkSport 2 and on the TalkSport Cricket YouTube channel. A quick word about your thoughts looking to that final match, which is, of course, the decider. Michelle, you've had a couple of minutes to collect, compose and come up with a reasoning why West Indies will win that game.
They will chase. That's inevitably what they will try to do, and they just have to try and take wickets. Ultimately, if West Indies can find a way to take wickets in the power play, I think they win. If they can get into England and take 2 or 3 wickets up front, then I think England are put under pressure from there, and West Indies will win the series 3-2.
Gerard?
It's been a messy series, so I'm not sure I would put my money on either side. England were quite short today, I thought. They've obviously gone on to play very well, but I don't think there's as much between these sides. They're very, very weak. So I don't know. Based on the law of averages, I'd go with the West Indies just for fun.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think you can predict what's going to happen. I think both sides have made mistakes and they've gone from confident side to non-confident side, and they've gone vice versa. So from that point of view, I think the team that is in the ascendancy is England. So I'm going to back England and back my boys.